My wife showed up last time we were recording on the Facebook. She was watching.
Oh, started giving us comments. That shit was funny.
Yeah, I accidentally went live on my account, not the Aimless Adventure podcast account thing. So.
Oh yeah, my sister chimes in. I'm like, what the fuck?
That was funny.
It'll be even funnier if she does it again right now and be like, "What's the problem with that?"
Right.
How do you not know? Fragile.
Get started.
Yeah, they were busting my balls because on the Christmas Story.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I've seen it 100 times, obviously, but I guess I never paid close enough attention to catch the fragile part. And I'm like, I'm missing the joke on this. And they're talking about it. I'm like,
that's right up there with "You'll Shoot Your Eye Out," though. Come on.
Yeah, my sister is like fucking busting my balls over Facebook Live now. How do you not know fragile? And
I was like, your sister's even making fun of you for it. And he's like, my sister? How the hell does she know? Oh, that's great.
All right. Well, welcome to another episode of the Aimless Adventure podcast. You got your normal me, John,
normal me.
Danny,
your normal you,
Kale, Brian. We also have a special guest with us, Ben Tirpak from Skillset Magazine and Straight 8 Photography.
Yeah, you can say that.
Among other
endeavors.
Sure,
and the dude that makes us all of our cool shit hanging on our walls.
A lot worse.
If you've been to Comic-Con or watched all of our YouTube videos, you've seen his face before.
That's probably true.
And his work,
if
you will.
Like, it's one of those things, and you guys know this because I always see how busy you guys are, but it's like, you have a minute to do nothing, why not start something else?
Right, yeah, definitely.
That's
because if I'm home to get yelled at, that's a bad place to be.
Right, yeah.
Definitely.
Like, forget it, you know.
I'm behind on basically everything, but let's go.
I feel like I'm way overdue. I kept saying, man, I'm going to try and get down there. I feel like horrible, but I'm here.
And we might be like breaking some kind of rule or something, but he also has the Skillset Magazine podcast. Check that out.
Yeah,
it's good
Skillset
stuff too.
No, whatever you want. I hear that's how like you pimp the whole podcast community.
Right, exactly.
We don't have a ton of viewers
or
listeners.
And then they also started the overtime show. That I think that's pretty cool too.
Yeah, you know, it's just that it's been a shit week, so let's get on and ramble and vent and have a topic to hit on and complain. We actually just dropped one. We'll drop it tomorrow. We just recorded one before I left here, so 2 in 1 day for me today.
So if you haven't heard it, it's basically kind of like in between the real show. They throw on a shorter version of a bullshit section kind of thing. It's pretty cool.
Hey,
So pretty much a short version of what we do?
We're trying.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like a really short, like abbreviated version of what you guys do on the show. Without all the good jokes.
But these guys have had some cool shit come up recently. Like just before we started, we were looking at the I guess you'd call it the most recent edition of the magazine because the newest one hasn't come out just yet. But with Ryan Felipe on the cover.
Yeah, tell us about your little adventure
with those guys. Yeah.
Ryan Phillippe?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right.
And Omar Epps, man. Omar Epps.
Yeah, Omar was there with us the whole time, too. You know, it's one of those things where they went to do some training with a good military buddy of a friend of mine, Jason Soar, who also, editor of the magazine or whatever.
Another friend of the show.
They served together. And it just happened to work out, like the way military kind of takes care of their own. Mm-hmm. Their technical advisor, Steve Kerr, on the show, Shooter, recommended Buck Doyle that he had served with. Hey, you guys should go up to Utah. He runs a training course up there. The guys that actually heard of him were like stoked, pushed the studio Paramount to make it happen. There we were, 10.5-hour drive up to Utah. The first day we're there, it's like the middle of June, and it's cold. Like, I mean, it snowed.
Wow.
Especially since it was 107 when you left.
Yeah, I'm in Arizona. I'm like, and going through Page, it's still hot.
Right.
It's hot.
Oh yeah.
And sorry if I'm ruining anything for anybody that's read the magazine out there, but this is the behind the scenes. Like we spent 4 days in the middle of nowhere with those two guys. I mean, like we'd walk into a town and it was like you take your coat off and everybody's very pale, very white, and very Mormon up there. Okay. They don't look like me. They don't look like my editor.
They damn sure don't look like Omar M.
Yeah, they don't look like Omar. Now, Buck's a black guy. Buck's African American. So but Buck's kind of like he's one of them up there. It's a community. He's kind of the guy that's security.
He knows the secret handshakes.
Yeah. He's got all the good stuff.
Royal Order, the Water Buffalo.
The town of Teasdale safe with Buck. Looking
so,
out for.
Nice.
Since it was a small town where people going nuts, like you walk into the local diner for lunch and they're like, "Holy shit, there's famous guys and some other dudes."
First day,
did they recognize the actors?
So first day, So they kind of got put up at a lodge, and you know how it is. We're just like
The peons.
we're the photo working crew.
You're at the Super 8.
So,
Yeah,
we're
Motel
down,
6.
I can't say that. Buck is a gracious host. We were down the street at their actual private cabin, which was
nice.
Oh,
gorgeous,
nice.
back to Capitol Reef National Park. Gorgeous, great host. I can't say that. It was nice digs.
Nice.
But, you know, there was a difference. The first day, like I said, you know, you take your coat off in a small restaurant. You had 3 restaurants to choose from. And you can see people, like, pull their kids tighter. The next day, after
That
working
guy's got
out
tattoos.
who we were and what we were
Oh,
there
so they're like,
doing,
holy shit, they're not
it
criminals,
was
they're
like-
famous.
The doors were opening. And, hey, how's it going?
Welcome.
It's a little change. So, no, everybody there was really cool. But, yeah, we got to see, like, that side, because you always wonder, I don't know about you guys, I know outside of cons or whatever, we're in their setting when we're in that world. You know,
Right.
we're waiting in line patiently, getting to talk to these people. But having them come a little bit to all the world that we know, by day 2, day 3, it was like, it's really cool to see, like, at least these 2 individuals were just normal people. You know, they
Yeah.
were working, they were putting in the paces, they were talking about missing their kids and family. And that was cool, you know? Like, and it
Put
was some
some-
real guy bonding time up there. I know we shared a lot of photos of us up on the hill.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
know?
Yeah, like all over the Instagram and shit, just hanging out with Omar Epps and some rifles and shit, no big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Just another
actually-
Tuesday.
We actually can go down on record as saying we popped Omar Epps like cherry on shooting an AK. So
Awesome.
No shit.
that was kind of cool. Took him out to 600 yards on an AR. Buck Doyle did. Like I said, fabulous instructor. By the end of that day 4, it's no doubt like he was having some spiritual moments. Old Omar was like having a good time.
Nice.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
Have you watched any of the new season yet?
Season 2, I've been binging until it ended. It just ended.
Or
We
you
got
totally
that little. I always wait because I just can't do the week to week. I
Right.
think that's why when Netflix first came out years ago, I was like, I'm on board with the Hulu and then let it build, man. 'Cause
Yeah.
to
Binge
commit
watching
to
is where
being
it's
somewhere,
at.
you guys know you do this
Binge
show.
watching is where it's at.
Right, you have this podcast. You're responsible for your audience, and to
Right.
try and get everybody together on a schedule at a set time. It just doesn't. So
Yeah.
that's the same reason for me that TV doesn't work that way. So sorry, Omar. Sorry, Ryan. I don't know what's happening yet. I hear it's really good.
As soon
I
as
was
the
just
season's
curious-
over, I'm there.
I was just curious if you're
I
like,
hear they got picked up for 3. We can share that.
Right.
It's not out yet. It's not official, but they dropped it on an IG we had, so I'll just reshare it here. There you go.
I was just curious
Wait,
if you
Steve,
see
you
it and
told
you're
me.
like, I watched them learn to do that shit. And that's what I was looking forward
No,
to.
but we did
I
talk about a
remember
lot
when
of
he
the.
learned that move right
Yeah,
there.
we did talk about a lot of the crap that they didn't know on season 1. I'll tell you that. Because
Nice.
That's
you guys
funny.
know me a little bit, and I don't bite my
What the
tongue
fuck
for
were you
anything.
doing?
There's some stuff where you're just like, you got to know, is that Hollywood or
Right,
is that
Right.
you know? And so it's kind of neat.
You
to-
don't push
to-
the
to
slide
learn.
forward. You don't push it forward.
Yeah, there's those weird things.
Yeah.
You know? And anybody in any field, we've discussed this on our podcast.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't come to you as a car guy or you as a construction home builder or whatever your trade is, and try and translate that to TV. At some
Right.
point, you're like, man, this is pretty boring. It takes a long time to put a fireplace up.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta speed it up. You gotta add that drama element to it.
Like, that makes me think, too, like, listening to some of your most recent shows, the whole Man Rules.
Can I stop you real fast and
Yeah.
say thanks for listening? It's been a long time. I still can't. I'm like, why the fuck would anybody listen?
Oh, dude, I love that shit. I know I always get called out when I have the time and I jump on one of your live streams on Instagram.
Yeah.
I always seem to catch those just right too. But
I try when I'm on a break at work, but you always record while I'm working.
the what's it called? The Man Rules shows.
Yeah, we did the
Shit
math
that men
skills.
should know. Yeah, the man skills.
Yeah.
That shit was funny, man.
Thanks, man.
Those guys that were on there. What are the two
So,
guys? that-
Brady Miller, he owns
There you go.
Monkey Edge and Monkey Depot. And Jason Burton is one of the top 1911 builders probably in the world, country for sure.
It's funny. Speaking of that, I just had a friend
of ours.
post a picture of 1911. He's carried on duty for years and years, and he's thanks for Jason Burton for bringing it back to life. And
Wow.
so yeah, talking about
So
the
he
small
waited
world.
all those years and has that kind of cash, huh?
Well, so I guess I guess it was just getting a little rough around the edges and had him tune it up for him and shit. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting, man. Like Jason's got. If you've ever this would set Jason off right here. Like he is one of these guys that organizes his underwear.
Oh,
folds
so the
his
fact
dirty
that
laundry.
so the fact that we don't know
Sorry,
what the
Jason,
fuck we're
I'll
doing.
put it
or-
out there.
Has his whole
He's meticulous.
closet color
I'm him and I are in the same.
He
zip
has a
code.
grinder
I'm
that
there.
sits on the back wall of his shop, And I swear, it's like the first. If you go there, you're gonna think this guy's a poser. Like, there's no way he grinds anything on this
Because it's
there's
so
no dust. There's no. I mean, like, it's immaculate.
One of my
This guy's closet is
But
a
that says a
rainbow
lot about his guns.
that just fades from color to color.
Yeah.
to color to
Okay.
color.
Perfect color wheel through his
Yeah.
Mine's
closet.
like that way too because I wear black all the time.
Right.
My-
It's like really easy.
I have like
The best thing was that if he pisses his wife off too much, she goes in there and just
Rearranges
does
everything.
Oh my god!
I keep telling him like
Somewhere along the line,
Instantly,
I
he
pissed
knows,
her off
damn.
real bad, and I
I
walk
really
into my
fucked up.
closet, and there's just like probably 20 shirts in the wrong spot, and I'm just like,
Damn, I really fucked
did
up.
you do that?
Like,
I
did
keep telling him that's
did I
like my
mess up
bucket
that
list
bad?
is to get in there and fuck up his
Yeah.
color
Well,
coordination.
that was
But
like
not-
once
but not
my wife did
major
something
color
similar to me.
changes.
I pissed her
Just
off so
shade
much
changes.
she actually went and pulled the plug on the router because I wasn't paying enough attention when I was doing my video games.
Oh.
And all of a sudden I'm in the middle of a game and it's like lost
And you guys,
connection and I'm like, what the? And I'm like checking my Xbox. I'm doing all sorts of shit. I walk in the bedroom and there she is with the cord. You want to talk now?
That's funny.
Damn.
That's fucking funny.
Holy cow.
But yeah, that man rules thing, that was pretty cool, man. I think we're gonna have to steal their concept at
Awesome,
some point
man.
and do this show.
Glad I
'Cause
could help
it's basically
inspire
just
a little bit.
yeah, it's
Imitation
basically
is the
just
highest form of flattery.
yeah,
Right.
it's basically just they talked about shit that every man on earth should know how to do, no
Oh,
matter
yeah,
what.
yeah, yeah.
And it turned into
That is-
two-parter, and
You know, and it's one of those things where when I come up with, a lot of times, Jason and I sit there and, we've got our normal day jobs we do in between just something that was supposed to be fun in
Right.
the beginning that's now becoming like, oh God, what are we going to
It's
talk
work.
about today? But it's those things where I'm guilty of it. When you find yourself putting those lists together, you're like, you know what? Like, man, do I know how to do this? Like,
Yeah.
when's the last time that I tied
Like
knots?
I'm telling
Like-
people they should
or-
know how to tie a fucking sheep shank. I don't even know how to tie a sheep
So
shank.
I took it
They're
up.
talking about, like,
I
changing
I
a
know how to tie
tire.
my shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think of these things.
I did
and
not
it's
go to
like-
Boy Scouts.
When
I mean, I
that's why I
did,
wear
but I
flip-flops.
didn't.
My line of tying knots is I tie a knot and then tie it
Tie it
again,
again.
tie it again,
Tie
tie
it
it again,
again.
tie it again.
It's
It
I'm
ends
with
up just
you.
like noose.
Yeah.
Because
I've done that
I don't
before.
know.
I've done that before, and I remember like when my grandfather was still alive, and I'd be working with him, and he's an old school cowboy and stuff, and he'd be tying shit down, and I'm like at the end, I'm looking, I'm like that is fucking amazing.
And
I
I
would
bet he
give
can walk up
anything
and just
And
it,
pull
and
one
it-
thing and it comes
undone.
undone.
My
But
dad was
yet
in the
you
army.
can yank on it every other
Yeah.
way and it won't budge. And I'm like, I don't know how you did that, but it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life.
and that's why I prefer ratchet straps.
Yep.
Right?
Oh man.
But yeah,
but you know, it
that's-
is that thing where you do shows like that and you
Mhm.
find the faults that you have in yourself
Oh yeah,
without
definitely.
even realizing it when you came up with just a topic.
Yeah,
So-
definitely. That's I don't know. I thought that was one of my more favorite. Both episodes of it was one of my more favorite episodes that you guys have done. I thought that shit was
Yeah,
pretty
those
cool.
guys are great. We enjoy having them on. They're good friends of ours. I'm fortunate to get to know them, and we're going to have them back soon. I mean, people ask for us all the time, so it's like, if we're smart, one of these days we'll just become their management team, and we'll
Right.
just get them to
There
do
you
a podcast, because
But-
I'm pretty sure people aren't listening for us. So.
Like you guys have had some pretty killer guests on there. Like Danny
it's
from
fortunate.
Counts Customs. That shit was cool.
Danny is, that was kind of a full circle thing for me, man. Like, I
Isn't
can't
that the
lie.
one that they just recently one of his employees like stole from him or something?
Oh yeah, but the employee that did that it wasn't like one of the TV stars. It was just some back office kind of guy.
Oh,
So
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah,
That's
it's-
horrible, man.
It's like
Super nice guy.
$75,000 they
Ouch.
fucking stole from him,
yeah.
or 75 worth of product or something.
It was like
Oh, goodness.
it was cash because like you said, like he used part of it to make a down payment on a truck, and like he bought a new bought a new Range Rover and used the county or the fucking the department card to make the down payment. Bought some plane tickets for a vacation, shit like that, a bunch of little stuff. But yeah, so that and I've actually got to meet him, and
Super nice guy.
yeah, fucking awesome. But who's been your favorite so far? You think out of the
Dude,
famous
put me on the
guests,
spot,
I
man.
guess.
Boss was great.
Boss
I
was
always go back to
Oh,
number
yeah.
one. And I don't know if that's just it was the first one or the. And if you listen to that podcast now, you'll hear like me not say a word. That's all good. When you get a guest like that,
Yeah.
You're like the
Boss is
technical
a legend.
advisor in the background. Just answer up
Keep
some
talking.
Google shit once in
We
a while.
always
Yeah.
joke that I'm like I'm Robin to Jason being Howard Stern in that role, and I'm okay with that. Robin's a good-looking chick. I'm all right, So if you want to say I'm pretty enough, I'll take it as a compliment. But yeah, Boss was great. I can't think. We've been fortunate. I look back at that list and I go, how the hell did these people talk to us?
Travis Wirtz was a funny freaking
Travis
show.
is amazing.
That boy is funny just to have a conversation.
Yeah.
I've known him my whole life.
Okay.
Him and I, we grew up together.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've known him like, since we were taller than stable. Like
Let me tell you,
he has not changed.
So you'll be able to back me up on this. So we have him up. He drives up to see us that night, and he's like, "Hey man, we're gonna come up. We're just gonna bullshit a little bit. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do that." I look outside, because I'm like, shouldn't he be here by now? Oh shit, he is here. Jason, that's him, right? Like, he's here. Like, that's the guy. Like, we saw him. We've met him before, right? And you got to remember, prior to getting the introduction to Travis, and you can go into that if you want, we had been told all these things about Travis. Yeah, he's a little eccentric, and my good
He's
friend
unique.
Brady that we have on the show. Brady is one of the top resellers in the nation of fine custom knives and all that. So he knows Travis's
Right.
stories, from being at these shows, and so we had been told these things, and nothing bad. I don't want to put it like that, but we kind of just we didn't know.
He has a little bit of a.
But I knew that night this was the man
reputation.
that I got along with because he was not only there early, he was making a sale in the parking lot to someone.
Nice.
And I'm like talking about multitasking.
Yeah.
But he was awesome, man, and great podcast. One of our top ones we get compliments on all the time.
Awesome.
So just a super nice guy, man.
He's easy to get along with.
Yeah.
And he knows.
He's easy to get along with, but he is.
Like he can hold a conversation with just about anybody. And various topics of all kinds of stuff.
You see him and you think this frat boy surfer dude or whatever.
Right.
And then he starts breaking down the mathematical equation on how frets on a guitar work.
Yeah.
No, so he's using that as a real example because that happened.
Yeah.
We went to his hammer in where he had the big old event at his property where they were showing how to make knives, run forges, all that shit.
16, I think,
Well,
contestants from Forge and Fire were there.
Yeah, sitting around at lunch, somebody started talking about music. So he goes and gets a guitar that he made from scratch out of a gourd.
Yeah, he was injured at one point and couldn't do real farm work, so he made a gourd guitar.
So he goes and gets it, and they
His brother
start.
is a huge
Oh.
gourd salesman.
I remember.
I got a little bit of that story when we visited
Yeah,
the
we-
bar.
yeah,
It's ridiculous how much money there is in gourd.
We-
You would
I
be
found that out.
surprised. You would be surprised.
We met Ben and Jason out there, and Travis gave him a tour of the.
Okay.
So he gets out this guitar. Oh, what was talking about is they were talking about the similarities between the tones swords can make when metal clanks compared to guitars. So he busts out the guitar, shows how he made it, talks about that, and then he gets out chalk and starts drawing on the ground and describing how noise moves through the air and how the tones work and how the different metals make these different sounds. And I mean, he's literally drawing like scientific graphs and shit.
Angles to the next fret equals like half the distance from the one
equations and
before
everything.
Yeah.
or something.
And we're like, man, this might as well be Korean. We don't know what the fuck's going on, but it sure was interesting. But it's like you can't find a topic that he can't come up with an answer for.
I mean, it seemed like, those guys that like Google something and then at a party force it into conversation. It seems like it felt sort of like that, but there's no way that he didn't force that into
Right.
conversation.
What's
And
really
there's no
funny
way that
though
he knew it was going to come up.
is that I'm sure you remember this from interviewing him. You can ask any question you want. You're probably not going to get an answer to it though.
He's very politically, not political, but his responses are very politician-y.
Oh yeah, you ask a question, he takes off around this right-handed corner, and I mean,
The
you
first
ask
truck
him,
I bought, it's funny you ask, because one time I had a horse.
yeah, it's entertaining as shit. But yeah, that was a really good interview. I really liked that one.
Yeah, he's super nice guy. I mean, we've had so many on there. We've been fortunate enough to do so far. That
What was her name? Michelle from Top Shot?
Michelle Vescusi.
Yeah,
she's
I like
actually
that
a
one.
good friend of ours.
Really? That was a good show.
Yeah, I know her and her husband a little bit. Pretty, from doing all this stuff.
Top Shot was one of my favorite shows. Love
What
that
is it?
thing.
Top Shot?
She's close to the studio, lives, in the area kind of where we're at, so we get to see her a little bit. We shoot a lot, in the full-time jobs. We work a lot with Glock and all that stuff. So,
How'd it feel to get outshot by a girl?
Gosh, I don't know. I just drew a blank on it.
She it was really interesting to hear how she got into all the Glock stuff, and I thought that was a pretty cool history too.
Yeah, she gets crap all the time over the shotgun thing, like constantly, all the time.
Oh yeah,
To
yeah,
this
yeah.
day. I mean, guys, like just bust your balls, IG Live, it's just everything with it. I mean, you never get rid of those Top Shot days, I guess.
Yeah. You can talk shit all you want, but she's still gonna outshoot you.
Yep.
Right?
Anything cool coming up in the near future we should be watching out for?
Issue 4, man. It's at the printers. I can happily say, as of yesterday, it left the desks. Thank goodness. I say that only because I feel it's our best one yet, and because when you get to the end of any project, as I'm sure you guys know, there's kind of that little bit of you that's like, I need to get this done. I need a part of my life back.
I'm kind of swaying towards the Boss edition.
Yeah.
There's a really good episode of that one. Yeah.
Our spring issue. That was a great magazine. You actually, that's where everything came full circle with the whole Travis Woods thing for us. Yeah.
You want to talk about it?
Contributed with writing an article for that one, right?
Yeah.
When are you going to write again? That's the question.
I don't know.
You already missed out on 3. You missed out on 4.
I've gotten a piece of that with like some of my racing friends who've like written write-ups about some local racers, and the magazines, they're always looking for writers.
Yeah.
Because you'd be surprised at how like desperate they are for good content. And when they find some, they're like a fucking leech. They're like fucking more. And so if it's something that you like to do, I mean.
Well, here's the thing, and I think this goes for everything. If I can jump in on your point, it's like the reason that happens is anything else in life. You get a million people that say they can do something, but when someone shows up with something finished, that's the guy you hold on to. Whether you're looking for a guy to do your tile, or
Yeah,
your
I mean,
paint,
how many people said, "Oh yeah, I could write an article for you guys," and then never come through with it.
Shows results.
Yeah. So when someone does, you become the wanted man.
Let me go on record as saying though, it was a bit of a collective effort. It wasn't just me, so.
Yeah, most things are.
Yeah.
I mean, we wouldn't be making a magazine without the help of a lot of people.
Name something that isn't.
I don't think you race a car without the help of a lot of people. I don't think this podcast helps. It just doesn't. The YouTube stream doesn't get up there on YouTube without it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean.
Yep, Brian's even got a new delivery bitch.
Yep.
Sitting at the end of that table.
So yeah, that's. John wanted to talk about it.
Yes, I did.
It.
Unfortunately, I'm the only one that's seen
it.
I hate that he titled that novel It. I wish he would have named it Pennywise or something else, because when you're Googling anything about it or talk about it, it's so vague, and it is in just about any Google result you're going to find.
Popular word.
So
it's one of the basic words that they taught my daughter in kindergarten.
Right. That being said,
I mean, saying we're going to talk about it, we really could be talking about
anything.
It's talking about typing and writing. I used to get into people's computers at work and go into the Microsoft Word settings and change it to where when you typed the word it changed it to the word the. There's nothing funnier than watching some people try to figure that shit out when they're writing it, because you don't notice it first, and then you go back and nothing makes sense, and you're like, what the fuck? So you fix it, and it happens again. Oh, that shit's funny.
That's great. But I was hoping that somebody else on the show would have already seen it, but that's not the case.
It's on the list.
Viewing, so.
I'm sorry.
We're probably like 4 of the 5 here that didn't, because I heard that movie just like
broke like records of all kinds.
The highest rated movie release of any September of any record of any year of the whole like history.
Like ever. 117 mil the first weekend.
Isn't that crazy?
I'm gonna go watch it.
No, they recounted. It's like 123 or 124.
Yeah, they actually undercounted. I'm gonna go watch it tomorrow if you want.
Making movies.
Yeah, no shit. If you want, we can like pause this, and tomorrow I'll cut in my opinion.
Oh, that might be a good idea.
We'll do that for you.
Well, biggest opening fall weekend ever. Gravity set the record in 2013 with 55.8.
Gravity did?
Half of what it did.
What was Gravity?
That was that Sandra Bullock space movie.
Space floating around.
It was super realistic.
That's a pretty decent movie, but that fucking doubled it?
Doubled it.
What?
Biggest horror movie opening weekend ever. The previous was Paranormal Activity 3 at 52.6.
Sheesh.
That's so funny that's another gigantic one.
Yeah. Biggest opening weekend for a Stephen King adaptation. Second biggest opening weekend for an R-rated film. It only trails Deadpool at 132, so only about 10 million difference.
Only 10 million.
And when you get up into the hundreds of millions, 10 million isn't that big of a stretch.
Yeah.
It's less than 10%.
For an R-rated movie, it hit more theaters than any other R-rated movie ever. And it's already the 18th highest grossing film of this year. And it's only been out the weekend.
Second week, yeah.
And that's, honestly, I have not... There wasn't like a fuckload of buzz coming out like there was for Deadpool.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, Deadpool was like the eclipse. Like everybody, it was coming. I mean, everybody was fucking a part of that deal. But like, it was like it really flew under the. I mean, we all knew it was coming out because you made it so popular. But I mean, like honestly, without your advertising of it, and I would barely even know. I mean, it's cool that it come out 27 years ago and they're redoing it, and I get it, blah blah. It's cool, but I wouldn't think, fuck, this is one of the greatest movies of all time.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's great that far, but it was really, good.
But like to break records, I would have never seen this coming. I mean, this is fucking Buster Douglas beating Tyson. You know.
See, I was hoping that it would because I was scared. I knew it was going to be.
You're a Buster Douglas fan.
Yeah, a little bit. No, I was scared that it wasn't going to do well because I knew it was the first part of the 2-part series. So
there's 2 of them coming.
Yeah, because
there's one.
Did you watch the original?
One's already here.
You said you watched the original.
Oh yeah, so that was part 1.
That was part 1, right? Yeah.
In the original, there were the 2-part. There, but there was like when they were kids and then when they were adults.
Right. So it's chapter 1 and chapter 2.
So this one they split the movie into that. This movie took place with kids, and now they're doing the sequel, which will be when they're adults.
I was afraid if it tanked, we might never see the
sequel. So how can I just ask this? This seems to be a theme nowadays with movies. How long was this first half?
Right at where it should have been, just over 2, I think.
Oh, so only 2 hours.
Yeah.
I expected like 3-ish.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 3 hours.
It's not like a fucking.
It did not feel like
Hobbits,
it.
What's killing me right now is that every time someone says it, I'm like, are they generalizing or are they actually saying the movie name? I'm dying right now because I'm listening to you guys. Every time someone says it, I'm like, are they saying it as a general word or are they saying the
proper
movie?
Noun? Or?
Yeah, like which one is going on? And I'm laughing my ass off listening to you guys say it back and forth and like, okay, which it do they mean?
But yeah, I had this guy make our Pennywise painting we have up there and stuff for me. Big fan.
Which we're all looking at. Nobody.
Yeah,
can see
but still,
it's up there. Take our word for it. It's on the wall.
Probably one of the biggest It fans that I know, and I went in with a little bit of pre-scrutiny. Like I expected it to be made for our kids' generation, as opposed to that last one.
It'd be like if I walked in to watch a racing movie.
Right.
Like. I'm gonna critique it a little bit more than the average person.
Okay.
And you're the Pennywise guy.
And
he's no Cole Trickle.
It's a different.
That's fake.
Rub it ain't racing. You get black flagged. But it was a little bit of a different telling, and there's a couple things that I wasn't too fond of, but overall, excellent movie. Can't wait for the DVD. Blu-ray, I'm sorry, I guess, because that's kind of the thing.
Laserdisc, bro.
Laserdisc. Can't wait for the Laserdisc or the VHS because I want to see the director's cut. I want to see deleted scenes.
Is that the one with Ice Cube in it?
Yes.
Yeah, no, it was, I think Bill Murray. But, yeah.
That's an inside joke.
Bill Skarsgård.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
That blonde chick from the one movie. That's who it was.
Ben's like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
I'm horrible with movie names, but I remember them by, like, their famous actors that are in them. So, like...
Except the famous actor of...
Not all of them. He'll be like,
right.
it was this movie with Bruce Willis and that one blonde chick in it. And I'm like, thanks, that tells me every movie Bruce Willis has ever done.
Fifth Element. No, she was redhead. Sorry. Damn.
So...
Well, I got something in common with you. I don't remember any of that shit.
Yeah.
I'm good with faces. I'm horrible with names.
It's the one girl from The Thing. last week
I'm
on the
Jack
TV.
City.
I'm
better with music stuff than movie stuff.
Details.
I can't remember movies like I can music stuff.
I've read a lot that said that this one follows the movie better. Follows the book better than the original one did.
I would say that's true, but it's still
Yeah.
it's still a far cry from the novel.
Was there the teenage sex scene then?
Nope.
Then it didn't follow the book in any way. Fuck that shit.
Yep.
Who wants to watch a movie that doesn't have teenage sex scenes?
Right.
That's stupid.
Yeah, that from what I read today, it ended up on the cutting room floor, but I think they mean generally like it got scrapped before they even filmed it. But yeah, the Unity gangbang didn't happen.
The Unity gangbang.
But yeah, Bill
How
Skarsgård.
come we never do that?
Because we're all guys.
Gangbang?
Oh yeah. Well, you're allowed to get other people. I didn't mean by ourselves.
Oh.
Well, you work on that. That's your
How do you
next
come up
project.
with a list? Because I got one.
Already.
You get out the black book.
Yep.
I was ready.
It's laminated.
Look, this one's got 3 stars.
Yeah, Skarsgård did a great job as Pennywise.
I heard somebody describe him as...
Wait, who is it?
Bill Skarsgård?
What else has he been in?
Nothing, pretty much.
His dad's been in a bunch of stuff.
They were
That's why
supposedly.
I didn't recognize him. I was like, who is this guy
they
behind the
pretty
makeup?
much brought in like an unknown.
Supposedly they tried really hard to keep famous people out of this movie for the most part. But I heard somebody describe him as comparable to Heath Ledger's Joker.
I heard that too.
So I'm really curious to see if he
Really
lives up to
nailed
that.
it.
Or that's what
So,
he,
like-
or that's like what he was trying to keep in his mindset, like when he was doing it.
I would say acting style, characterization, etc. Definitely, if the original Pennywise was Jack Nicholson, then yes, this was definitely Heath Ledger as Pennywise.
Okay.
As far as blowing me away and being my favorite Joker, I don't know if I'm there yet. I might have to watch it a time or two more. He did a great job. There are definitely times where I preferred the original, but there are times that I'm like, man, that was dope. That was really cool that they did that. There's a bunch of little subtle things that they did with this one that really made it kind of pop.
I mean,
and
Tim
creepier.
Curry's hard.
Yeah, Tim
Yeah,
Curry.
It's hard to
Yeah.
beat though. He's
Yeah.
such a great character actor.
Yeah.
Like, there's really not a role you couldn't throw at him that he can't just do something
Yeah.
amazing with. So
The makeup on this adaptation, I love. I just
Yeah.
love how it's the lip liner gloss thing going up into the eye
yeah, how it
crosses
just
and
rolls all
everything.
the
It's
way
just
across, yeah.
it's awesome.
How much do you think this movie's going to affect Halloween?
Oh, there's going to be a lot of clowns. I think the clowns are going to come back for a while. I think.
Yeah, I think we'll have some more clowns just hanging out on street corners. And 2 a.m.
Probably.
So do you think
getting
like
shot.
every couple at Halloween is going to be Pennywise and fuck, what's her name from the Joker's
Harley
girlfriend?
Quinn.
There you
You're
go.
gonna see Harley Quinn and
Probably.
Pennywise walking around together.
She's with a different clown
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Say, hey, got an upgrade.
Here's a game we can all play because it won't really affect the first part. Casting of the sequel as their adults. Because you don't really have to see this one to think about who you want to play the adult versions. And for one, I would love to see Seth Green play the adult Richie Tozier because he played Richie as a kid.
As a kid,
That would be
I
fucking
was just
funny.
thinking, I was like,
Oh, that
How
was
cool would that be?
like, yeah,
It would be a nod to us.
He's at that age. Yeah, he could do that. Like, that would be cool.
And Seth Rogen too.
Oh, Seth
him in
Rogen?
it.
Yeah. Not James Franco. He's a douchebag. No offense if you're listening.
And if you are,
Probably
why
not.
the hell are
Yeah.
you? That's weird.
And the only other one I could really think of was, Eddie, the little kid that has
Yeah.
the overbearing mother and has the asthma and stuff.
Yeah.
Charlie Day.
That'd be great.
Oh, yeah.
It's Always Sunny in
Charlie
Always Sunny in
Sunny.
Philadelphia.
It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
It's like,
comic
yeah.
relief
Fist
and
fight.
that
Oh,
little
okay,
guy.
okay.
Yeah.
I like
think
how
that would be
everybody gave a
horrible
different
bosses.
answer at the same
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
So
right.
It's
you know,
just a
Brian
blur.
didn't hear a word of that. He just went.
I heard 4 different explanations. I'm like, yep, okay. Yeah.
He just Charlie Day. Like, I love watching movies because it's like he always has these like kind of small parts, but he steals every
Yeah.
scene he's in.
Yeah.
Every scene he's in, like with Horrible Bosses, every scene he was in, I was like, God damn, he stole the shit out of that.
So
movie.
he was also in Sunny in Philadelphia?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
now I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yep.
He's funny.
I love the inflections he puts in his voice when he gets
Yeah.
Right.
excited. He's like,
Ah!
And I would love to see if I wasn't trying to find her name, I would know it. Let's start with the Wendy's commercial girl. Play
Oh.
the adult Beverly.
Oh.
Or the chick from How I Met Your Mother. Drawing a blank on her
Allison
name.
Hannigan?
Allison Hannigan,
Allison
yes.
Hannigan, yeah. The
I'd like to see either of them play
one-time
that.
band camp.
Nailed that.
Because the
because it's Bandcamp.
Because yeah, he just can't stop picturing that flute.
yeah, because the adult Beverly in the first one was so lackluster. She was just so
Yeah.
plain Janey. It just kind of, I expect
Right.
because Beverly to me was always like in a league above the rest of the Losers Club. She was just
Yeah.
there because of her reputation and
Mhm.
how people were treating her and stuff. But I always thought she was way better looking and stuff than the rest of the crew. So I think having an attractive Beverly would be
She
beneficial.
shouldn't have been in the Losers Club, but she
Right.
was because of situation.
Rumors and-
Because of the situation she was in
Mhm.
it, but technically she shouldn't have been there.
right.
Man, I need to rewatch that fucking movie.
That's what I was just thinking.
It's a time investment, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was what?
Just over 4, I think. I think it was 2 per episode.
I thought it was the 3-part originally.
Mm-mm.
It was just 2?
I might not have even seen the second part of it back in the day.
I could have swore it was
Really?
3.
I
Really?
honestly don't remember any part of the adult version. I remember them like killing him when they were kids.
Don't give it away.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Harry Anderson
What's
was
wrong
in
with
it.
you?
So it was fairly star-studded for the for the era.
For the time.
Star-studded.
Yeah. At least high B list.
It's
They don't have a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
They might, but they paid for it.
But
yeah, all
and
in all,
it's down at the end.
So it's kind of situational, but how, like, if you look at the movies that have come out in the last couple of weeks, they kind of suck. I mean, nothing really super badass is coming out. I mean, there's been a couple, but
I was just looking at that. It's been
the list is pretty
bomb.
weak right now.
yeah.
Right now, the end of the summer blockbusters has been a serious bomb.
So
right
do you
now.
think it would have broken the records it broke if another Avengers movie was out this weekend or some shit? To where, I mean, I know that it's had a big draw, especially since we've been waiting for it for 2 fucking years. But if it wasn't competing, if it had something to compete with,
If it actually had something else decent out,
But that's one thing. I don't think they expected or heralded it as a blockbuster.
no,
right? They weren't
And
expecting it.
Avengers wouldn't release in September.
nope.
Well, no, I know. I'm
Well,
just
I mean,
saying if it
but
was. I
think-
mean, something
I don't know if it
comparable.
would have had the same numbers, but I mean that's part of the business. You're going to release a product, you got to think, okay, when's the best time
Right.
for me to bring this out? There's been some great movies out there that have tanked because they gave them horrible release dates.
And
Put them up against gigantic movies that just blew them away, and nobody saw them until they came out on video. And now they're like big hits or cult favorites. But when they first released, they were shit. Nobody because no one saw them. They weren't crappy movies. They just
There was
bad
a
timing. Bad
And
releases.
adjusted numbers, there's never been a horror movie to do better the first weekend.
So let me ask this, because I feel like I'm in a room of very well-versed moviegoers here. Why didn't we just have a Labor Day that had no major blockbuster?
Yeah,
Right?
see,
No.
that's what I'm saying.
No,
Because you guys
No,
seem like you
nothing.
would have
Nobody.
the answer.
Yeah,
What?
nobody.
I don't have any idea because
Like, I
I
think I read
anything.
somewhere it was like first time in 20 years.
That there
Right.
wasn't a big, that's what I'm
take
saying. That's
advantage
what,
of the super
They're
days.
running
That's
out of
what-
ideas, man.
that's-
They are
Well, we all know that.
They are
That's-
scraping the bottom of the barrel.
We
that's
all know
what
that.
works so well for it is that just like this last like 4 or 5 weeks, there's just been
Nothing.
good coming out. There's just been this, like everyone, it's like all the studios got together and said, you know what, fuck September. Let's just
So-
throw all our shit movies in there,
well, just
and
Wake
you know,
me
then
up
we'll
when
come back
September
afterwards.
ends.
just
Yeah,
think about it
exactly.
like off the top of your head. I'm going to cheat and look right now, but who can name another movie that's out in the theaters right now?
What's the one with the... What is he? He's his bodyguard or something, right?
So there's a
Yes,
I
couple
heard
of
that was actually
Yeah.
pretty decent,
I
but
don't know.
nobody
The
really went and saw
Assassin's
it.
Bodyguard or
There you
something.
go.
the Hitman's Bodyguard.
Yeah.
That one actually looks pretty
Yeah.
good.
And I heard that was actually pretty good, but just nobody went and saw it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like another like just to tell you how slow shit's been for movies. Dunkirk is still readily available in the theater,
Yep.
and that's what month 3.
Oh yeah, and
I mean-
nowadays
Damn,
by month
really?
3 you're usually on
Oh, yeah,
Blu-ray.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because
The-
it's not like back in the day when a movie came out and it was like 2 years later it was on
Yeah.
VHS.
right. The
Now a
new
movie comes out and 3 months later it's on Blu-ray.
that new Halle Berry Kidnap is out.
Except for I think the new Pirates of the Caribbean has taken way longer to hit Blu-ray and stuff than normal.
Wasn't
Disney does that on purpose,
always
though,
do
yeah.
that towards
Yeah.
Christmas or something.
I think they give it, like-
cash in on it.
Yeah.
Disney gives their
That's
movies
the
a
next
little
movie I
more
want to see
run.
them to remake and like real life live actors and stuff. That'd be cool.
Which one?
Pirates,
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Dude, that would be awesome.
Hell yeah!
There's a little live action.
Get like
Pirates of
Keira
the
Knightley
Caribbean.
or something to be in it.
But see, there's
Hell
a couple,
yeah.
like-
you know who would be perfect for that fucking role?
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
No.
Atomic Blonde. That one's been out
Oh,
for
yeah, yeah,
fucking
that's right.
What the
several.
fuck is that?
It's
So,
it's
female
like a
John
James
Wick?
Bond. Yeah, female
Oh,
John
sorry.
Wick is a
Oh
good way.
yeah, no, yeah.
That's a good way to put it though. But that's a pretty good movie too. I mean, I saw that. That was a decent flick.
Was
but-
all right?
But
Yeah,
it's
it's
been
not
out for a
bad.
while,
It's
though.
exactly
The
what you
trailers that
expect
ran
it to
for
be.
had that feel. Like it,
Yeah.
it looked pretty high action.
I won't lie. I went to see it because it was free when I got to go see it because I got it on a screener. But
What does it say about the state of women or female action stars right now that we still have? And she's hot, she's good looking, but what's the age of this name? See, here we are with the names I don't remember. Who's playing in that show?
Charlize Theron.
What's she in her 50s now?
not quite probably,
What does
but
that
pretty
say
damn
about
close.
the talent or roster of female actresses
Right.
that can't step up to action roles?
I'm
nowadays?
probably gonna piss some people off,
But
but
she's in a movie like that.
I think that means that they're overpaying because I would say at least 80% of the time, women's roles in movies are interchangeable. I don't think, except for Reese Witherspoon in Walking the Line.
Can anyone else do what
And-
Gal Gadot just did in Wonder Woman, based on what you just said?
Nope.
Probably not. She's
No.
probably in the 20%.
Could, like you said, it's just like you said with Charlize Theron. Could anyone else have played Furiosa in Mad Max?
That one I say yes,
Yeah.
honestly.
Really? You think
Yeah.
someone else could have pulled that part?
But some of her,
I don't
some
know
of
if they
her
could have gotten
roles,
a named actress to do that. It probably would have had to been some no-name,
Hayek.
like, some Hayek maybe.
some of her,
Somebody with big boobs.
Yeah.
Somebody with big boobs.
some of her roles, I think she's been very, very good, and nobody could replace her. But like Munster, is that the name of it? Munster?
yeah, monster.
That
Oh,
she was
yeah.
fucking amazing in that. Not to mention the fact she was willing to gain like 50 fucking pounds for
Yeah,
it.
she looked ugly as shit.
Maybe they
But
just give her
she
everything
just-
now 'cause she made that sacrifice.
Yeah, but I like Mad Max. I think damn near anybody could have done that job.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think
pretty
her
fair.
take
Like,
the way she did Furiosa.
I don't think Demi,
I don't see someone else being
Moore
able to step
owned
into.
G.I. Jane. I think.
Oh no,
They
no,
probably
that
could've
one I
gotten
agree with.
anybody.
Anyone else could have came into that one, but I don't agree with the Furiosa. I think that the way she played Furiosa, I don't think anyone else could have stepped into that role.
But what about the role she played in A Million Ways to Die in the West? That was a good flick right there.
Yeah, I liked it.
I think she was hot as fuck in that movie too.
See, it doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it. Now, Salma Hayek. Salma Hayek
How about
does
Salma
it.
Hayek?
Does it.
It does it for you. So
She's
you,
on
like
the
it.
list.
You-
She's
you
on
be-
the laminated
You
list.
be watching Wild Wild West all the time.
She was
Salma
in,
Hayek.
What movie I just finally sat down and watched after it's been out for like 100 years already is Sausage Party.
That was
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot
oh,
better,
fuck, I
than
haven't
lot
seen
better
that.
than I expected.
Yeah, it was actually.
I've heard good things about it.
Yeah.
I
But
heard
she
it
was one of the
really funny.
voices in
One of the
there.
voices.
Huh.
Now you
Yeah.
got a reason to watch.
It was pretty. It was,
Speaking of bad animated movies that I didn't expect too much going into, Nerd City or something along those lines on Amazon.
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Not Amazon, Netflix. Nerd Town, that's what it is. That was actually pretty good.
Nerd Town.
Never heard of it.
I can never remember his name, but the guy from King of Queens that worked down in the subway.
Kevin Smith. Oh, that worked on the subway.
Worked down in the little subway
Kevin
booth.
Smith.
Oh, Patton Oswalt?
Yeah, he was one of the voices of one of the two main characters. It was,
Okay.
it was pretty good. Me and Helen liked it.
Every time I think of Patton Oswalt, there's that he won the that Emmy here a while back. Like I want to say it was just like a couple months after his wife died.
Yeah, right after his
And
wife
there's that
died,
picture of him like like he's like hanging out at some after hours burger
Yeah,
joint
like a
by
diner.
himself with his Emmy, and it's like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I just feel so bad for him.
Depressing as
It's
shit.
like you've fought this whole way and you finally get like he's been like
Big, yeah,
the fat chubby loser guy forever.
so many movies and shows.
And now he's like getting some respect, and it's like, fuck, your wife dies. Like,
Can I pause this while live is still working?
I don't think it is.
I think it just died.
No, I think it just died on.
Damn
us
it!
right there.
Never
Why
mind.
would happen?
I was gonna
Yeah.
make fun of my daughter because she asked Kale if he's the one in the hat. The only ones in the, not in hats are me and Danny, which
Yeah.
she knows very, very well. That didn't narrow it down at all.
Which daughter doesn't know?
Kara.
Kale? Oh,
Uh,
knowing her, that
yeah.
could have been on purpose to try to be
Maybe.
funny, though. That's funny.
One time they pranked me. I got a weird tick. Like I literally always have to match my
As you
hat
can
and
see.
shirt.
Oh, he said
Okay.
tick.
I don't leave
I
the house.
misunderstood.
I've got
Mm.
100 hats
He
and
does have-
200 shirts,
Never mind.
and I'm just that guy.
Yeah.
Okay, so one podcast I show up, and even when John's wife was here, like they're all wearing hats. And I'm
Oh, we
like,
had Sean Sauter here too,
Yeah.
and he was
and
in on it.
Sean
I saw that
even
one.
joined in
Yeah.
on it, and I'm like, it was towards the end of the night when somebody actually finally mentioned it, and I'm like,
It was that we weren't even recording.
Yeah, we
anymore.
were in the
standing
kitchen.
out in the kitchen.
Yeah.
we're in the kitchen, and
And
somebody
he
was
didn't
like,
notice the
"Did you
whole
guys
time."
notice?" And I'm like, "Notice what?" And it's just like, we're all matched our hats and shirts, and I was like. And like a giant light bulb comes on. I was like, "Holy fuck, you did!"
I think that was Kale's first show too, so he
Oh,
didn't.
man,
he
it
didn't
was
even know you.
crazy as
Sean
shit,
showed up,
yeah.
and we're like, "Hey, there's."
Yeah, two new guys to the podcast, and they were in on the
That's
joke.
great.
And then played along. It was,
Uh,
and I
it was-
totally like. I guess I don't pick up on it. I mean, it's. I don't
You
know.
work that hard to do it, but you don't care to notice if anybody else does it. That's kind of messed up.
So yeah.
That hurts.
Like, deep down.
Back on the movies that we're talking about, little thing I want to throw some Star Wars in here as always when I can.
JJ.
J.J. Abrams is
Back on
taking
board? Yeah, I
over.
saw that.
Taking over for Episode 9. You know, we have Last Jedi's coming out, Episode 8 this December, And then in a couple of years, we'll have J.J. Abrams, who did The Force Awakens, Episode 7. I'm excited about that.
Hell yeah.
I think that was a
I was
cool
like,
fit.
oh yeah. I thought I saw some interviews with him, and after he finished Force Awakens, and he'd already said I'm not going to do the next one. They had hired another director. After he finished it, he's like, man, I really wish I would have just said yes and did them all because I enjoyed the shit out of it. And now I'm kind of sad I'm not making the next one.
Why?
Right.
What was his reasoning for fucking not doing it?
He had a
Why
bunch of,
would you
he had
fucking?
a bunch of
I don't like
projects.
money and fame.
Fuck Star Wars.
He had a bunch of
Yeah.
other projects, and also he said, being that it was the first one in so long, it was a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Is
It's
he-
not going anywhere
Do you
anyway.
Do you know if he's going to be doing the side story ones too, or just the main story?
As far as I know, he's just doing the main
How
story.
many more side stories
What's
are
great?
coming?
What's
A
great
lot.
is we
As
just
many
had a
as
huge
they
announcement
wanna keep
like
making money?
3 or 4 weeks ago that they've confirmed that they're doing Boba Fett, which everyone's been waiting for, Bounty Hunter Supreme. We have Han Solo's in post-production right now with Ron Howard took over as the director for that.
Which
I
I'm
heard there's
kind of
gonna be
excited
a
about
Yoda.
I'm
that.
kind of excited for that too. And
Nice.
then they're going to do there's also in production for a Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I think if they're smart, they're just going to grab Ewan McGregor and have him play Obi-Wan Kenobi
Fuck,
again.
why not?
That would be
Right?
cool.
I mean, it's
Why
just a
not?
continuation of it.
Are they just following the actual one-off comic books they started doing? Like
Yeah, the kind
2
of.
years ago?
Yeah.
And then the one I'm really excited for is that they announced that nobody saw coming is they're going to do a Yoda.
Oh wow, that's cool.
But
I
see,
would have thought that would have been one of the
See,
first
and
ones.
well, the thing about it for those of us that are way into Star Wars is that out of all the characters that there are in Star Wars and all the lore, I mean, you have the comic books, you have the video games, you got the movies, you have the deep extended universe through all the novels and everything. Yoda's the one character we don't know shit about. We know 3 things about Yoda.
right.
Dagobah.
He's over 900 years old. He's trained Jedi for 800 years, and he's a bit of a badass. That's all we know.
That's a good point.
when
we
he
don't
was
know anything
younger,
else
he was a
about
ninja.
him. See,
You don't know his
we don't know. He
history.
could have been a ninja. We don't
Yeah.
know anything about Yoda. That's the one thing they've never done in any of the other expansions of the
And like
universe.
I've-
Nobody's written about Yoda.
I'm really hoping they show us I've seen fan art, but I'm hoping they show us their version of a young.
Oh, like
Yoda.
a young Yoda.
Like,
And
what does he look like as a
like
kid?
That's,
before the
that's the
Clone
thing
Wars.
that's
Young
exciting
young
about it. Like,
adult.
we don't know, is this going to be an origin story? Are we going to see him, when he discovers
So,
the
Have
Force
we
and
ever even
becomes a
seen
Jedi?
other of his kind?
No, well, we have. There was one in episode 1.
Okay.
There was another. So was another. It was a female Jedi.
What is his
I
race?
believe. We don't know. We don't know what his race is called. We don't know where he's from. We know nothing about Yoda. So I'm real excited that they're doing a
So
Yoda movie.
we
Yeah.
technically don't even know if he's Jedi, right? I mean, we know he's the trainer of the Jedi, but
Yeah,
do you
well,
have
he-
to
he
be
was a
Jedi
Jedi
to?
Master.
Master,
Council?
yeah,
Oh,
he
that's
was a
right, that's
Jedi
right, okay.
Master, yeah, because he was the head of the Jedi Council. But I mean,
Right.
the fact that he's been, we know he's over 900 years old. That's a lot of time for a lot of stories. And we know
That's
he's
like
been
Chuck
a Jedi
Norris.
Master
Yeah.
for over 800 years, but we don't know anything else about him. So I'm excited about that. And I'm with.
I know he loves cheese.
Oh,
Do they
does he?
have like
no
a,
effect.
And he's scared of seagulls.
And he's
Yeah.
scared of seagulls.
Seagulls. Ah, leave me
do
alone.
they have a timeline available anywhere to like when this shit's
Not
coming?
when these are coming. Not when what's going to be next. I guess it's kind of how the production just works out.
It turned into James Bond though. It's as far as I know, it's going to be one like November. It's going to be storyline, and then like 1 December, it's going to be like a year and a month apart, back and
Oh,
forth between.
Yeah,
storyline
every
and
other
side
year is
story.
going to be a main show.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
a main
I'm
episode.
expecting it to look really good too, because I mean, when you look at because when you look at the Yoda that they did in the prequels, Episode 1, 2, and 3, they did a CGI Yoda for 2 and 3, and he looked good at the time.
Yeah.
At the time, he looked great.
Yeah.
Now he looks, still okay. But when you look at the CGI characters you have nowadays, like Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy,
Oh, yep.
Rocket Raccoon from Guardians of the Galaxy, you have all the
They
the
look
live
like-
action
It
Disney.
looks fucking
Like they're
the
there.
live action
like
Disney
you
that
don't
you
even
had
fucking
with
think of this is a computer
that's a
animated
computer, and
fucking-
like
Right.
the Jungle Book. That was
Yeah.
that was all CGI except
Yeah.
for the kid, but it all looked real. And when you look at how well the CGI characters are now, just imagining what Yoda's going to look like up on that screen is just I can't wait.
Like
I'm
sometimes
excited for
I
that.
wonder if shows and movies really have props, or if they're just two people standing in front of a green screen, and they add everything in post.
So much of it is now because like if you ever see any of the behind the shit for any of the Marvel movies,
Behinds the
any of
shit.
behind the shit,
Get
behind
behind
the
me,
shit.
shits! Get behind
Not
me!
just behind the shit, behind the shit. You see it for any of the Marvel movies and any
you
of the big
you
budgets.
just fucking get amazed at how
There's just
little
two guys. That's
real
all it is.
stuff is in these
Yeah,
fucking
it's two
movies.
Yeah.
guys and they're walking
What's-
around all these green shapes, and then when you see an actual movie, they're like in a room with like tables and chairs and like
Yeah.
all kind, and none of that's actually
So
there
to back
anymore.
up on your point, how long before the powers that be that have all the cash just go, let's quit paying all these guys.
We've
And
talked about
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
We've talked about
I've
that.
thought of
We
this
had
on
that
one of you guys'
conversation.
podcasts before.
It's coming.
Right?
How
Actually-
long until
Greed is gonna fucking.
I have a thing. Crispin Glover put into effect something that can stop that for the most part. His likeness was used in Back to the Future 3, I believe, or 2 maybe.
No, Back to the Future 2.
Crispin
Yeah.
Glover was it?
He was the guy who
Danny
played
Glover.
The
Danny
dad
Glover. He
from when
played
he
the
went Back to
dad
the
from
Future.
Marty
Oh, Creepy
McFly, the
Thin Man.
original
Yep.
Yes, the Thin Man, him.
They didn't want to pay him for the sequel,
He wanted a shit ton of money for Back to the Future Part 2.
so they just got some guy and CGI'd Crispin Glover's.
No, they didn't CGI back then. They got him, and they had molds of Christian Glover's face
That's
because
right.
they had to
Yeah,
do
they
the
made him
old
wear a
face.
mask.
Because remember, because he was
So
old
they
in
did
the
old
first.
school
Yeah,
prosthetics
Yeah,
and everything.
he was
Okay.
old in the first part of the movie, and then they took the makeup off, and he was young, so they still had that mold. So they just made a mold of his face and stuck it on another actor.
You're kidding me.
So that was
And
not
he's
him
sued-
in
not
part
Crispin
two.
Glover
That was
in part
not him
two?
in part 2. That was
Holy
an actor
shit.
with his face stuck on it.
And he sued and won a lot of money.
Oh, I
But
would
here's the
fucking
thing,
too.
though. But this is the thing, though. Like, they
But
don't
they never
have
said
to-
it was him.
They never.
They never
once
said it was him.
He
They
just
just
said
used
they
his
used his
face.
likeness. But see, so yeah, he sued and won a lot of money. But I mean, the thing is, that would be if they were going to try to say, we're going to make XX movie with,
Yeah, but if
Bruce
they,
Willis,
sequels.
but we're not going to actually use Bruce Willis.
Why
We're
not just
gonna
make new
do a
characters
CGI
altogether,
Bruce Willis
yeah.
and have someone do a Bruce Willis voice. They're not
Right.
going to be able to pull that off. But there's nothing to say that they can't get to the point where they're just making CGI movies
Right.
that look like a real movie with just the the voice actor with
Right.
actual
That
legit
was
voice
my
actors
point. Yeah, my
who don't
question.
cost that much. A
Right.
voice actor costs nothing compared to what you would have to pay Bruce Willis.
well, if
to
you
be
think
in a
about
movie.
it, I mean, even back years, Final Fantasy movies
Right.
have
yeah,
been
when they
close to
try
that.
to do those CGI
I mean,
ones, yeah.
Oh my God, their animation was so far ahead of the game.
Yeah, at the time they were. They did bad in the box office,
Yeah.
but
So-
at the time they looked like they were like real people in a lot of scenes, and they weren't. They were just CGI with a voice actor.
So,
But I could see when that point happens.
talking about voiceovering, like shit like that happens. Funny, it has absolutely nothing to do with anything we're talking about. But Smokey and the Bandit. What's his name? The sheriff. What's his real name?
Buford T. Justice?
Yeah, but what's his real name?
Oh, Jackie Gleason. Yeah.
So he was in the Honeymooners,
To the
right?
moon.
Yep.
Moon.
So
One of
you
these
know how
days,
like
Alice.
when they play it on TV, they have to have all the voiceover work to get out all of his horrible cuss
Cussing,
words,
yeah.
right? That wasn't his voice that they voiced him over with when they corrected it for television. It was the dude that voiced Fred Flintstone.
Oh, no shit.
John Goodman or the other one?
No, the original cartoon.
Okay.
The Hanna-Barbera
And what's
Fred.
Okay, that's,
John Goodman? They didn't voice John Goodman. He was just got John Goodman. But
I'm saying, did they use John Goodman?
no, the actual dude that voiced it for the cartoon. But the funny thing about that is, to me, is that the Flintstones were basically a cartoon copy of the Honeymooners.
Yeah.
Right,
So it was basically
not a big
A
stretch.
copy of-
so he
yeah.
was copying him again.
Yeah.
So every time you hear him say a really bad voiceover that you think that's just done later in a sound studio is why it sounds different. It's not. It's because it's a totally different fucking dude.
Wow. I recently learned through a documentary, stupid story on Google that led to a documentary on Netflix that led to this great question that I now pose for this well-versed Star Wars guy next to me now.
Thursday.
I found out the guy that played Darth Vader.
David Prowse.
Right, this whole fascinating story about that wasn't his face. We get to see.
I
on-
just read that shit too.
And I realized this
Oh,
is the
when they
guy
take-
from all the old Hammer
when
horror
they-
films that I
when
used to
they
watch
take
as a
the
kid, being a big
mask
horror
off?
guy. Yeah.
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
Whatever popped it onto your fucking radar must have done the same thing to me because I just learned that shit
The
within the last week or
documentary
two.
is fascinating. I don't
Yeah,
wanna,
they hired-
give
they
it
They
away.
hired
didn't, they didn't use
this,
his voice or his face?
Oh, and he was pissed about
Wow.
that.
Correct.
They hired this gigantic, big, tall bodybuilder British guy named David Prowse to be in the Darth Vader suit. And they didn't tell him that, first off, we're not using your voice. They didn't tell him that.
So
he-
after
he
he's
said-
hired and after he's done it all, like
This
did
after-
he did
he-
he recite
read
the
the
words
lines?
when
He
they were
said
filming?
all the words inside the mask. So
Wow.
they filmed it all with
He's
him
like, "I'm a
saying the
movie
words
star."
inside the mask. And he tried to
Holy-
give it like inflections, like he was actually acting this
Mhm.
shit. Like, when he's like, where are the Death Star plans and everything. He thinks that
I want to hear that original audio.
Oh
you can hear
my
it in some,
God,
I've heard it in a
right?
lot of the back
Really?
in the
There's got to
behind
be a
the scenes
bootleg
stuff.
version. So.
I've heard it in a lot of the behind the scenes stuff.
Like,
So
I wanna
they,
see it
they
dubbed
did all that.
On the original.
Yeah, and they didn't tell him that we're not going to use your voice. He didn't find out until it came out in theaters, and he went to watch it,
He's
and
like-
then he hears James Earl Jones
With his family.
with his family.
He brings his
Oh,
whole family to the
goodness.
theater, and he didn't know about the death
And
scene.
that's exactly what they talk about.
So
And then-
literally he became the shape.
Yeah,
Oh
so he
my
was just
God.
the guy, and so what he started doing in the next film, Empire and Jedi, he just started fucking saying whatever he wanted to, in the mask, like
Because he knew they were
didn't-
I'm
they
gonna
weren't
impregnate you,
so
Leia.
he was just saying like fucked up shit, and the other actors were having to try not to react.
I'll
to
have
him.
a burger with
And-
fries.
Exactly, like instead of like I am your father, he's like
I
have a
have
burger
no
with
penis.
fries. And Luke has to react like if he
Yeah,
actually said
it's
something
awesome.
else.
That is
So
awesome.
he was like, I heard it like made a big rift that after like Star Wars, like they cut him off. He was like excommunicated from Star Wars.
He wasn't allowed to be
go
any
to
part
any
of
of the
it.
conventions, do any of the after
because
shit,
of the
because of how he got so pissy about it.
Okay.
And then the same thing in the third one when he dies and they take the mask off and we see Darth Vader underneath, they use a different actor for that. So
And
they
there
needed
again,
to
he
use him
did.
then again.
He had no idea that went on
No, he didn't
until
know
he
until he
saw
saw
it
it
in
in
the
theaters.
theater.
Did he
Okay.
do the film? Did he do that scene and then they just
No,
cut it?
he didn't know that scene
They
existed.
never even
Oh,
he was
shit.
not
So,
around when they filmed that.
Actually, in
scene.
the documentary, they tell that story a little bit different. That he actually found out the day of that they were shooting that on another set.
On another soundstage,
While he was,
yeah. And he was like,
and was living and trying to contain that while finishing what he was under contract to do.
Oh.
yeah. Like
Damn.
I said, he just got so pissy about it. He said, he got fucking
Can't say I blame
up
the
and causing a lot of problems, and so they excommunicated him from Star Wars. He wasn't allowed
Wow.
to
I know
go
what
to
got-
any of the Star Wars stuff.
I know what got me interested in that fucking story, and it probably is the same for you because I know you listened to him too. I just remembered it's from Finnegan's podcast,
Oh yeah.
the Dukes of Hazzard
There we
podcast.
go.
Is that where you heard it
I
at?
think probably.
I
leaked
just-
in.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the same thing I have you guys on the YouTube. YouTube's my go-to.
Right.
And I'll just have it on the shop while I'm working. So I miss a lot of the actual words because tools are flying. and
Right.
everything.
Right.
But it's like they just run in the background, and you'll stop every so often, watch like 15
Catch
minutes
a
of
little
something.
split
Yeah,
here
so
and there.
everybody's podcast out there. Sorry, apologize. I do that with. I don't care. If Joe Rogan did the same goddamn thing.
Yeah, Mike Finnegan
You
from
click play. That's all I care about.
Mike Finnegan from Roadkill has a podcast
Yeah, those
where all they
guys
do
are
is just
great, man.
review Dukes of Hazzard episodes. It's
Wow.
funny as shit.
Yeah.
But that's exactly they had a.
It's a crazy story. I don't know like how I went my whole life without knowing everything you just
Yeah.
told me, Cal. Like, I didn't know
It's-
that.
It's
I've
really
learned some crazy
ones.
shit on there. Like
And that was the funniest thing whenever I heard that he just started saying whatever the fuck he wanted under the hood because they weren't going to use his voice anyways. He's like,
Dude,
screw you
brilliant.
guys.
another thing
That's
that
I'm gonna make you break character.
That's the
Right?
best part of the story right there. Is
Yeah.
he starts fucking with him, and they got
Big
to
with
act
the horror
back.
films and all that. Back in the day, like I didn't even realize I knew this guy until they showed a clip of him in the
Oh, yeah,
documentary
his
as the
face.
original Frankenstein
Right.
from the old Hammer films.
Yep.
And
Okay.
it was the Frankenstein that didn't look like any of the other Frankensteins as we
Right.
know him, being green or whatever. It was the Frankenstein where he was weird looking and had the hair, and that was
Yeah.
him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
holy crap,
That's
I know
cool.
this guy. Yeah, really
Yeah.
wild, man.
Yeah, that's one of the crazy little side things that
Star Wars
happened in
is so
Star Wars back in the day.
fascinating.
But yeah, could you imagine like getting your whole family and everything? You go into the theater, you're
brutal.
like, you can't wait to watch this movie that you're this big character in, and then it like in no way can you show your family that that's actually you
Right?
inside there.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like you because they use a different voice. You never are outside of the mask, so they
Oh.
can't see your face. And then when they finally do decide to reveal the face at the very end, they use somebody else.
So good.
So there's no thing to actually show that was you in there the whole time.
It's like that Friends episode where Joey brings his grandma to see him on TV.
Oh, and he's not
They
in the
cut him out,
episode?
and he's like,
He's not, yeah.
make a fake one real quick.
And put
I
it in
bet.
there.
I bet the name of that episode was the one with something.
Right, the one with
Another, it's funny because like they always go off topic on that show talking about weird shit, but like another thing this Finnegan's podcast about the Dukes,
What
yeah.
the fuck is that?
But another thing that I learned from there that was kind of interesting is the town square from the Dukes of Hazzard is also where they filmed the Gilmore Girls,
Yep.
and there was a third show.
What
that's,
town is that? Where is it?
It's a movie set. It's not real. As
Oh.
a matter of fact, they said it's like 78% fucking scale, so it's tiny. And they said when they went and looked at it, and they can't understand how they got the Charger to drift around the town square all the time because it's not really big enough for a Charger. So it's pretty interesting.
Maybe there's a mini
Maybe they
Charger
had a
somewhere in
mini
existence.
fucking charger.
It's all about the angles and the cuts.
Yes.
R-rated Hellboy. I'm excited, man. Like you can take it there. I love that they're like we're not scared to do R-rated
Cuss.
superhero shit now. Yeah, like Deadpool. I just love how it blew everything open.
Right. Oh yeah.
R-rated
You can have like
films.
normal conversations
Let's scoot in though.
This is true.
without being like, darn it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is not cool. Be like,
Or
fuck
you
that.
know, shooting somebody and they fall over dead. You don't see any blood or like you know.
Well, it's like we were just talking about how the ranch.
Yeah.
How just being able to say whatever the hell they want and not dumb it down, because nobody believes Sam Elliott's going to be going, darn it, guys.
Oh
Sam
gosh,
Elliott.
darn it, people!
Yeah. Just being able to have, I mean, not just cussing for the sake of cussing, but just
that's
having it
how it
actually
would
fit
actually be.
just makes it so much better.
Sentence enhancing.
Because I mean, we throw the occasional curse word out there, but
Fuck no, we don't.
Oh yeah, you're right.
That's against
But
my
you know,
religion.
I mean, we're not doing it just for the sake
Yeah.
of doing it. That's just how we fucking talk.
I don't.
like.
I don't talk like that.
I
'cause
don't
it's
You
even
don't.
against,
realize how
it's-
often I say it sometimes. and
it's
then
against the religion I started.
I've watched
He's an ordained
podcasts
minister.
where I'm like,
You don't want to lose those tax
holy
breaks.
shit, I cuss
You see
a
yourself
lot.
later
dude.
on.
I
Yeah.
cuss constantly.
Hey, I am an ordained minister, though.
Oh my god.
Just in case you want to get married or buried or something.
I don't know if you need a minister for that.
Doesn't
Get
hurt.
buried? I don't think so.
Most of the people I buried, I wasn't a minister yet. I'm gonna find my credentials. I got it in here somewhere.
While he's doing that, I want to give a shout out to our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/aimless adventure. We're doing a.
Endless Adventure on
Ah.
Facebook. That's what I said.
See,
Okay, that works too. The current tournament is cartoon characters,
Oh yeah.
and there's still plenty of time to join in and cast your vote.
Still on round one.
We're
yeah.
still almost to the second half of the first round.
When you design these things and put them out, do you have like a timeline? Like, I'm going to make sure this lasts for 2 months. I mean, I'll check in because I'll forget because I'm not on Facebook a lot and it's still going. I'm
So
like,
if you-
oh, all right. So
if you ever
every
need
so
me to
often, I'll
marry
get in
you.
on that.
It's how it works is
What's your church?
I haven't made it yet. It's it's gonna be more of a cult. But I am
Never
gonna
responsible.
Daniel
Don't drink
Koresh.
the Kool-Aid.
I am gonna expect you guys to join though.
but like the cartoon characters and the next one I'm working on that I'm not going to say anything about.
Has
the
Bruce
one-hit
Willis in
wonders. You get to like 200 and you have to narrow it down.
Sure.
And the highest bracket I found that is feasible is 128, I believe. And I just go with that so I can squeeze as much in just in case, your favorite cartoon character, one-hit wonder, might be a little bit more obscure than everybody else's. But if your pick is in there, you as a person might be more apt to be like, that's really cool that my song or cartoon
Makes
character
sense.
was in it,
All right. I thought it was something.
But yeah, it's hard to narrow it down.
I wouldn't have answered if I'd known it was this.
What?
Who is it? Put them on speakerphone.
Yeah,
again.
put on speakerphone. They interrupt our show, they're going to be on our show. Who is it?
Tell him what you just asked me.
I asked you if it was important to you whether you eat or not.
Now, there's a McDonald's on the way home.
I thought like one of the kids were hurt or something. You're like on the way to the hospital. This is what's going through my head. I'm like, why is she calling me during the podcast? She knows I'm podcasting.
I thought you would be done by now.
Are you serious?
With
No.
how long it takes him to get here,
Yeah.
no way in hell we'd be done by now.
He got here at like 8.
We just started.
Oh, it was like 5:30 when he said he was going to the podcast too.
I ended up leaving the
You
house
didn't-
at like 6:05.
Oh yeah, it was way later than
6:05.
that.
It was 6:05 when I left the house.
He didn't
Anyway.
get here till like 6:40.
You are now a part of the Aimless Adventure podcast.
It's not the first time.
No.
Nope.
All right.
Bye, Amanda.
Love you.
Bye.
Love you.
Is it
I love
important
how
that you eat?
freeform you guys are.
Is it important that
We're
you
go
eat,
with the
Ryan?
flow.
Yeah.
Aimless, man. It's aimless.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah. We used to have set topics, but it just seemed to slow us down.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. I think that's one of the things that attracts me to watching your guys' stuff is like, you'll see like one time it's like, oh, like you'll click on so and so's podcast and it's like talking sharks. But you see like the aimless one, it's very rarely is it ever that shark. The description is we talk about 2 liters and bottles of this and kinky sex and also
Yeah.
Sex Jenga.
I just try and throw sex
Jenga.
Jenga.
There we go, sex Jenga, exactly.
I-
I click on that title, I'm like, how are more people not clicking on this?
Just so you know, that those are done usually at about 5 o'clock in the morning. And I'm just like, okay, I know we talked about this, and
Sometimes,
other
Like
stuff.
every time we try to pick up
great,
like a
guys.
buzzword or buzz phrase or whatever.
As our
sometimes I
title
see
for the
those
show.
titles and I don't know what the fuck they're about.
That's awesome.
And I'm
Like, oh, we did talk about that?
We usually drink a little bit more than everybody
Yeah.
else, though.
So Brian wanted to talk about racing.
Yeah, what's going on with your racing stuffs?
Oh, a little bit. I mean, I
Rubbing his
got a new car, putting that together.
Woo-hoo.
Was putting the graphics on it
But
today.
does your dick trickle?
No. No.
No? No, okay.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Is this one?
I stay away from those girls.
Okay.
I'm married. I'm a married man.
Yeah.
When are you gonna do another like Tombstone level graphics
Yeah.
card?
It's coming up, and I've actually got with my graphics guy because it's kind of weird because I'm, like I said, putting a new car together now, and then Vegas because we did that for Vegas. Yeah. I actually think I need to get the logo. I'm definitely gonna put the sword on there somewhere.
Okay, that's all we need.
And
why would you say? Why'd you emphasize the what?
the sword.
Sword.
The sword.
That's how I fucking say it. Okay?
Wheatons.
Like what?
Wheatons
Like
are-
I-
Wheaton.
Like I steer my tea. Sword.
But yeah, are
But
you?
no, Vegas is coming up in the first or second week of November. So I'm like putting a new wrap on it now, the graphics. And I was telling Jeremy, I was like, fuck, this kind of sucks, man. We're doing this now. And then if Vegas, if it has a cool theme that we can come up with a cool idea. I mean, sometimes it's like in years past, it's like, oh, I have like a, Vegas theme. And it's like, fuck everybody. They kind of played that to death. And so, like what we said, if they come up with a cool theme, then we'll do it. So then I got to put a whole new fucking body on it. Because you can't just rewrap,
Right. In like 4 weeks from now.
Yeah. And so I'll just, take this whole body off, put a new body on, and put the deal. But
And that's like a competition, right? Up there, you can actually win
the-
prizes for that shit, for that race.
The company that does all the filming of the event, IMCA TV.
And they do use the "fuck you, Brian" algorithm, correct?
I'm sure.
They absolutely
in the past,
did.
in the past,
They
they have.
fucking absolutely did. We still talk about it to this fucking day. How I got fucked out of that deal. Like I
He's
still
determined that any contest he enters or we hold or whatever,
anything that
we
I lose at.
specifically
Yeah.
we specifically
It's
set it
rigged.
up so he will lose badly. He's
Am
determined.
I wrong
that's that
though?
way.
Am I wrong?
In his defense, Poltergeist somehow worked its way
Dude.
onto our list. No, Exorcist. It was the Exorcist.
Exorcist.
that
The
jumped in.
Exorcist. We had the last time it fucked me was we all top 10 horror movies. Right?
Yeah.
And my number one
Oh no, I
was
watched that whole one.
Texas
Yeah.
Chainsaw Massacre, and it didn't even make the list. Right? Not even didn't make the fucking top 10. Poltergeist, which nobody voted for,
Somehow worked its
So
way.
then-
fucking got like 6th.
Yeah.
Show that to Ben.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
anyways,
that's his tombstone.
That's the.
That's
Right,
nice,
exactly.
man. That's good.
Vegas.
What do they call these now? Are these UMPs or these
The-
IMCAs?
IMCAs.
Okay, yeah.
IMCAs.
'Cause I know they used to be. and
Used
then
to
there
be,
was-
yeah.
Okay.
it got real fucky here.
Do-
for a
okay.
couple years.
Do you have a theme you have planned
killer,
for the
man.
Vegas thing, or are you
Well,
keep
that's
it
what
under
we're
wraps?
waiting on.
No
We-
pun intended.
We got to talk to the guy's name's Barry Braun. He owns the filming company. He's the one that basically puts on the contest. So I called Jeremy, my rap guy, and I was like, dude, do we have a fucking theme yet for Vegas? It's like, we probably should have fucking wrapped it for Vegas.
Yeah, you
but-
should have just wrapped it for Vegas
but
now.
he's like, no. He's like, I fucking asked him about it, and he's supposed to get back with me. So I don't know. But like I said, if it's a cool theme that we can come up with like something badass for, then yeah. Like I'm hoping it's something like.
When is this
cartoons.
happening?
Like Care Bears.
Like 4 weeks from now?
Yeah, in Vegas. Yeah.
Holy
Like he
shit.
just did it today, and then he's gonna have to redo it all in 4 weeks.
It's worth it though, cause like it's.
He'll
it's
get
kinda-
wrapped on the way to Vegas.
We might have to talk about what's going to cost to get some skill set up on that thing.
Fucking
Ooh,
I'd absolutely grabbing some fucking swag on the way out, and he'll be on the car. He'll be on the car tonight.
Yeah. That So you're the last one of the last shit. Fuck. It'd
fuck, damn.
probably be a lot better if I could talk. But was it a couple of weeks ago we were talking about your last trip in Colorado when you had a killer night the first night and
Oh yeah.
Turn the wrong direction.
ate shit? No, that was California.
Yeah, that's
Now
right.
it's California.
And the opposite happened last week or 2 weeks ago. I raced up a canyon up there. It's just like a mile or two south of Lake Pleasant. It's basically Northwest Valley.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've been up there, man.
And the first night I sucked. drew. I didn't even get to draw because I got there late because I had to work that Friday.
That's weird.
Imagine that. So I
The
started in the
late
back
car
of
was
everything.
late.
And, yeah. I actually had gotten up to 5th early and then got spun out
Aliens.
and had to fucking come back. And I finished 8th. The second night, though, I finished 2nd. A solid 2nd with no body damage, which is rare for that fucking track. It's gotten to be a real
Okay.
derby fest. But
I want to ask you a question that's been weighing heavy on the minds of the Animaniacs.
okay.
Your celebratory pose. Did you steal that from Hulk Hogan, or did
Yes.
you steal that from who?
No.
That's where it got started. The first time I won, I was, just fucking. My mind was blown that I'd actually fucking won. So I basically just got out of the car and stumbled. I gave like the worst interview ever. Like it was horrible. So I fucking drilled it into my head that the next time that I win, I'm gonna put on a fucking show for the fans, because having a promoter as a close friend of mine, like he would tell me like things that he wishes, like he's like, man, I wish, like it's great for the fans when there's like two guys that like secretly like each other, but everybody thinks they hate each other, like having rivals. He's like, the crowd eats that shit up. Like, whether you guys give a shit about each other when you're in the pits or in real life, he's like, I don't care. But like, when you guys are on the track, I need rivals.
So you can throw a little bit of daytime television.
Yeah,
into
you
the mix.
gotta play that up a little bit. He's
Look,
like,
brother.
And another thing is like, I hate when guys fucking get out of their race cars after winning a fucking main event, and people are cheering their asses off, and all they do is fucking just stand there and give a shitty interview and just. It's horrible. I hate that shit. He's like, I love it when guys show some emotion and whatnot.
I can see that, but to a certain extent, I completely disagree. Monster truck racing, I used to be really into it and everything, but in the late '90s, early 2000s, it turned into professional wrestling in the interviews, and I was like, all right, come on, guys.
You can dial it up.
There's a in between.
There's a tipping point. There's a tipping point. So basically, like I said, I put in my head, I was like, next time I win, I'm gonna put on a little show. And so I, got up and did fucking, the I did it just in Colorado 2 weeks ago. Like, because they hadn't seen it yet, So you just, you give them a little something to cheer about. But like, once I've done the whole, 3 or 4 move thing, like I did it in Yuma, I've done it at Cass Grande, I did it in Colorado a couple weeks ago, but I can't do it again, so I pare it down to just, the one pose, and then now I didn't name it, but like everybody else has named it the Farm Boy, and
Nice.
It's kind of funny that national broadcast that I was on a couple weeks ago, that
TV?
Racing Rewind,
Which I still have it saved on the DVR. We keep forgetting to watch it.
It'll be on my DVR forever, literally. But a guy that has never done it before, a pretty popular guy from Iowa, did it last week at the Super Nationals. They're like, holy shit, fucking, this guy did the Farm Boy. And I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, because of that broadcast,
That's hilarious.
Pretty cool. But yeah, put a new car together, and I'm actually gonna try to get to Colorado this weekend with it.
So basically, Hoove stole it from Hogan. You stole it from Hoove, and now the other racers stole it from you.
I actually think I don't remember Hoover. I don't remember Terry doing it. I did it from Hogan too.
Right.
He
just likes to give you shit because
Hogan
Hogan was his thing.
He always did the voice.
Yeah, but still, Hogan was his thing. And
Absolutely. Because like our senior year in high school, we did that. Did you do that thing in Dobbins' class where you acted out?
I had a different hour than you.
Oh man, it was fucking fun as shit. There was this thing where like our high school senior year, our history teacher, they was teaching us the amendments of the Constitution, and would get like a shitload of extra credit if you would film,
make a skit,
like somehow tie the amendments into this skit. And for like me and this other friend of ours that he used to be on the show, I don't know if he kind of still is or not.
He says he is. He just doesn't actually.
He doesn't come in or call in, but regardless. So we're in high school, and he's this huge wrestling fan. And so for our skit, we went through like the first 5 amendments, and I was Mean Gene Okerlund. and he was Hulk Hogan, and then another guy came in as like the Undertaker, and we're like, he's like, oh fuck, like for example, the one thing that sticks in my head is like, he starts doing his fucking thing, and I was like, whoa, I was like, you can't do that. I was like, that's not allowed. And he's like, brother, the fucking amendment says I can bear arms, and I was like, that's not the bare arms that you can do. He's
like, with the 14-inch python, brother.
That's killer.
It was fucking awesome. So like, yeah, forever he's been like the voice in my head of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
But
Really
I honestly just kind of, I don't know. Like I said, I just picked that up from thin air, I guess. From
just the first thing popped
because
into
I
your
was
head.
never I mean, I used to like wrestling, but I was never a huge wrestling fan. But I was like, fuck, what can I do?
You could have done the Warrior.
What can I do is standing on the roof of my race car that most people will get.
will react to.
I was like, people know fucking Hulk Hogan. I was like, so they'll fucking get that.
A couple of people do.
You ever fall off your car?
When you were
people
celebrating.
have given me shit after seeing that fucking the one that was on TV. They're like, man, you fucking struggled to get up. I was like, well, I'm fucking old, man, and I'm tired. Leave me alone, shit.
We haven't even watched it yet. We were supposed to come watch it as a group, so we saved it, and then we got busy and canceled and moved. And still got it though. We'll watch it.
Yeah,
They-
definitely watch that.
I
I can't watch it right now because there's no television.
Like
but-
my race, actually, they showed about 6 minutes, and surprisingly, they actually focused on me a little bit coming up because, like I said, I started.
You were in the back, yeah.
I,
You were in the back.
even like I don't remember where I started, but like watching it, the initial start, like I'm not even in the frame. As they're showing like the first 7 rows, and like I'm like, fuck, how far was I? Holy shit!
Is this my race?
I'm like,
Yeah.
fuck, was I there?
They said I was going to be on TV, but I don't see
But
me.
yeah, and then so
He's
finally,
like, this is fucking Friends all over again.
I know, right? The fuck brand algorithm. But yeah, they focused on me a little bit coming up through the pack, and I put on a couple good moves, and then yeah, like they barely showed it, but like the last like 5 seconds of that portion was me standing up and doing my thing.
We're talking about Trav not answering a question directly. That started with, do you have an idea for a theme for your rap?
That's true. It's very true. Well, if he does, it's top secret shit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. You don't want to really give it away now.
Yeah. Well, if it's like the Tombstone deal, that deal literally come together in like 2 hours. Literally, because the theme that year was you got to represent your state. So it had to be something from the state of Arizona. And I fully intended on having a Pat Tillman card.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I was going to have instead of my regular L8, I was going to be Pat Tillman's, Sun Devil jersey. It was going to be like
32, I believe.
I think it was 42, wasn't it?
42, yeah.
42.
So it was going to be like, that was going to be my number for the weekend. And, on different sides of the car was going to be, various of him through his whole life, including in uniform and everything. Like
Him holding the helmet to the side yelling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everything. And fucking literally, like, 30 minutes before my graphics guy was going to print it up, like, we had it designed. It was fucking ready to hit, the printer. And another guy in Phoenix posted pictures of his car, which was the Pat Tillman. And I was like, mine would have, of course.
You could have gone Jake
I mean,
Plummer.
maybe I'm biased. Mine would have been better, but it was so close to my theme. I'm like, I cannot fucking, put out a second Pat Tillman card.
That would have pissed you off so bad if you would have
I
shown
was like,
up there.
It's like fucking, 2 girls showing up at the prom in the same dress. It's like, you can't fucking do that.
You would have pulled that car out of the trailer all proud and be like, that looks just like Bill's car.
Yeah,
Because, of course, you wouldn't have gotten there first.
oh, yeah, no, I would have been there late, and they were like, oh, yeah, you're another Pat Tillman card? Great, awesome, fucking cool.
So original.
Thank God that guy posted the pictures of his car, because like I really was like, scrap it. And so I'm like rifling through. I'm like, I ran out of ideas actually. And then another guy, basically on the nose of his car, did just like the state of Arizona threw up on his car. Like he had everything.
Saguaro cactuses.
Diamondbacks, fucking, I mean anything you can think of Arizona related. and he had this little like 3-inch by 5-inch little fucking of the tombstone of the four
The walking, yeah.
Yes,
The
and I'm like,
iconic.
that's it right there. So we did, and I'm just like scrolling through fucking Google images, you know.
The base color was
tombstone.
perfect too.
And yeah, because he put a filter on it that made it look like that burnt paper, like a water
Yeah.
filter thing. Oh man, like I would send him. I was like, pictures, and he'd be like, nope, that don't work. Because the way the format,
resolution,
all that
difference,
shit.
yeah, dots per
Fucking
inch,
so like,
yeah.
so like I'm literally fucking just texting him pictures that I'm downloading off Google. He's fucking putting it in his computer. Yep, that works. We'll put this here. We'll put that here. Fucking boom, boom, boom. In 2 hours, we fucking designed that thing and printed it, and fucking it became instantly everybody's favorite.
So
Except the fuck Brian algorithm.
yeah,
That fucking.
how
Because basically what happened, the guy actually kind of told us later on, and I'm like, I'm really revealing a big secret here. Like, we've got 50 viewers or whatever it is.
Like how his voice really came down.
Basically, what happened
Fucking come
is-
in, everybody.
is-
Let's talk about this.
I've got a secret. I've got a secret.
Come in here.
Basically, what happened is a guy, his brother, who's a tech-savvy individual, figured out how to
Yeah.
create like a couple hundred burner emails, because that's how you voted, was online voting. And he fucking had
He
some
roboted it.
somehow
Gotcha.
like a couple
Bot
hundred
votes through
burner
fake
in,
emails.
and so like
Bot
they
votes through
opened
fake emails.
they opened
He had Russia hack it.
It was the race was Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
And so Thursday was the reveal day, and so they opened up the voting Thursday evening or afternoon, you know, like after they'd done pictures. And Friday morning, like I had say 60, 70 votes. And this other car, like it was literally between me and this guy from Kansas who did like really cool Wizard of Oz rap. Like he had scenes from Wizard of Oz because you know Kansas.
I saw pictures of that
And
car
it was
too. It was pretty
badass. Like it was really cool.
But was it
And-
really filmed in Kansas? Tombstone was filmed here.
Well, yeah. So anyway, so like it was, you know, like I had 60, 70. That guy had 50 or 60. This guy from fucking left field slides in there with like 250 fucking votes.
Damn.
And then the next day he's fucking got 500. And it's like, what the fuck is going on here? Like nobody...
Yeah. There's 30 people in
There's not even
attendance.
this many
Yeah.
people.
And it's
Here,
like,
how's it got
what
this
the
many
fuck
votes?
is going on? And so the guy that, and you know, by the time he figured it out, it was fucking way too far downhill to stop it. And it's just like, sorry, you know, it's like, because the crazy part is like the announcers, like people that don't even know me know that car. Like they're like, oh,
You're still the people's champion.
Like I still get people, like just a month ago, I actually have sold little miniature
Diecast
versions, like
versions.
Hot
Oh,
Wheels
that's good,
versions
man.
of
Like
my
the
fucking
RCA, the old action stuff.
Yes,
Yeah.
like they fucking still buy, like
I would get me one of them too, by the
Yeah.
way.
it's crazy. Like I was actually approached. I've never wanted to fucking make miniatures, but like I was actually approached by a group on Facebook that, like, you know, there's a group of
Sure.
you know, it's just like
Diecast
Ava's Adventure.
collectors.
It's,
Yeah.
yeah, that do fucking custom one-off
Yeah.
diecast, and they're like, they posted a picture of my car. They're like, man, we would love to see this on a diecast. And suddenly, like the next morning, I wake up with like fucking 10 people. They're like, we want your fucking diecast. I'm like, dude, I don't even fucking have any. Like, what are you talking about?
Right?
And so one of the guys is like, dude, let me do this. He's like, I promise you, you know. I was
I'll
like,
do you right.
yeah. And so like literally, I was like, cool. I was like, I want the first 10, and whatever after that you can do. I was like, I don't care. I don't want to make money off it. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just get them out there. And I think to this day he's done like a fucking 100 of them.
Wow. Well, there you go, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's like the ultimate championship win.
Yeah. So it's like
Voters coming through in reels.
it's a good
I
concept.
know a few people next time, man. Just let me know.
Yeah.
I know a few people.
Ben
Yeah,
seems
I
to
get
have
a little bit of
contacts in
following.
any little diversion you might want to take.
I've got like
He knows people.
20,000 fans or something.
What I need next year is what they do. What I need votes for really is that every year they have this at our big race. Well, you know the Super Nationals.
Sure.
Yeah. Well, now they have this all-star race where you get voted in.
Yeah.
And every year I've been on the ballot, but I haven't made it in because
All right.
I'm not that like. I'm not good at like begging people for stuff.
Man, that's a hard thing, man. Self-promotion.
Yeah.
Self-promotion is tough.
It's tough.
It's like I don't want to go out there and like talk up myself.
Yeah.
Seem
Some
like a
guys are
fucking
great
asshole.
at it, you know?
Dude, some guys can, some guys that like, and the funny part is like, at least in my experience, in the racing world, like some of the guys that are the best at it are some of the shittiest guys on the track.
But you know, it's like that way in any walk of life.
Oh, yeah.
Any business you encounter or something.
I've gone up to a guy and he actually got mad at me when I told him, I was like, dude, you need to fucking write a book on how to get sponsors because
you suck.
I was like,
you
know,
somehow
I
have
can't remember
sponsors.
how I worded it, but it pissed him off because I was like, you're not fast, but you always get funded.
That's awesome, man. It's an art in itself.
It is.
Like how selfless, it's shameless self-promotion.
Yes.
There you go.
I'm horrible at that. Like people think I'm great at it, but I'm actually not. I'm just I do all of it for fun. Like all of it is for fun. Like and like how I think we touched on earlier when you start to get to a certain point where a hobby turns into a job,
becomes
and I'm like, people have tried to push me in that direction. Like I've actually had a few offers to like go racing, and I'm like, dude, I'm not turning this into a job.
Yeah.
Like I put a ton of effort into it, and I take it seriously, but the moment that I have to pay my bills off of a race car, it's gonna just kill the whole thing.
That's it, man.
And not like on the flip side of that, like the job that I do have, the business that I run, like I love that.
Yeah.
But
It's that
like
difference maker.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean that's your outlet, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And
need
you don't
that.
want to take your outlet like, you know, my wife and a couple of my friends are always
I
like,
think
why
you were
don't you
saying,
go
like,
professional with your gaming? Like, you know, I mean, you spend so much time on these games
I'm
and you
not
have such high
14.
scores on some of the multiplayer. Why don't you, like, you know, try to make some money off? I'm like, well, then it wouldn't be fun anymore.
World Series of
I
Gaming.
think it was
Because
even
then I'll
when
be
you were
working
touching
my
on
ass off.
you guys making your podcast.
It'd be training, not playing.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm
you
playing
get
what
that with
I
that
want to
podcast
play.
where it becomes
Whereas then
a
I'd have to
monetary
focus
thing
on
now,
what
a
I
job,
need
like
to play
anything
for
else.
whatever the next competition is, and it wouldn't be fun anymore.
I think a lot of people don't even realize when we talk podcasts, we sit here and, you know, now that I've seen this, I've seen you guys, you know, I've watched the videos, I've seen some Facebook stuff or whatever, not that I'm on there a lot. But then you sit here and you realize how good this feels, organic and free flow.
Dude, yes, this is cathartic.
A
Like,
lot of
It is
I would
fun.
actually
5
pay.
years ago, did you know what a podcast was?
No, not at
10
all.
years ago, let's just keep
Yeah.
going back. Now,
I'm not sure he knew what a
there are
podcast
people-
was 5 years after he started.
When I was
5 weeks
on it,
ago.
I'm like,
yeah.
the fuck?
Well, I'll sit here and talk. I don't care.
I'm
And
surprised
you're
if
not
he
alone,
actually
but the
knows what
point-
it is right now.
Right?
The point I'm trying to make is, as you sit here now, would it blow your mind if I told you that podcasts are becoming such an entity and such a massive device and tool and just format for the future that there are people that sit around with this, a whole group of writers and write everything that just came out of your mouths right now to some of these big podcasts that are in the world right now.
That's crazy.
And people don't know that.
That's
They
crazy.
think that, and I won't name anybody, I won't put anybody out there.
That
But they think that guy's that funny, and that guy's that just the cleverest comebacks, and this guy knows. Man, you know everything about Star Wars. That's
That's actually one thing I take
but
pride
people
in.
don't realize that they are treating this new format just like
Right.
they treated TV. If
No,
we
a lot of
rewind the
it's
clock,
scripted.
we learn everything from history, right?
Right.
Let's go back to all the radio people that said TV was a joke and it won't last. It's a trend. It's a fad. It's not a respected format. And what happened to radio?
No.
Howard Stern will take it to his grave that podcast is a joke, and Joe Rogan gets $1 million an episode, or
Yeah.
100,000, or
Whatever.
80,000, whatever
Right.
it is,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
And he's a tool.
and do you not think for a second, as great as Joe Rogan may be, that there are not a handful of people in the back feeding him material,
Oh.
downloading
yeah.
for that guy,
Right.
and making
Oh,
sure
yeah, not
that they're hitting
everything.
the right topics
He's
at
not
the right
off the
time.
cuff and everything.
I actually.
You ever seen Joe Rogan stand up? Because this guy in this room has.
It's not good.
I'm not gonna like beat the guy down. I'm just saying it's not that podcast.
No.
Right.
We said it earlier. You guys brought it up. But you surround yourself with good people, right?
Yeah.
You know, and that's like that with.
And we can't do that, so we settle for us.
Yeah. We do
Thanks
what
for
we
having me
can.
along.
You're a perfect
Come
fit.
down to our level. Come down. Yeah.
I mean, no, but you know, like that being said or whatever, I think it just plays into that whole thing where people don't realize that. You know, it takes that. Now it's a job. Now I got to think
Right.
about what are we talking about. Now it's
But
good.
you
Yeah,
know,
now I have to
that's
be
one of the
funny,
things
you know.
John is
Yeah,
always
you're
saying
on all the time.
out there. He's always like, I wonder if anybody who watches finds me as funny as I find myself.
Right.
And I'm like, hey man, you know, if we make at least one other person laugh as much
Yeah.
as we're
See,
laughing
this
at
started
stuff,
like-
it's great.
Like me being invited to this deal started with like me and John just quipping the fuck out
Yeah.
of each other on Facebook.
That's great.
Like we would just do it, and we would, and
For hours.
I think he would actually. He's the one that actually finally said, like, dude, we should fucking take this on the road. Like, we're good at this.
Like the whole dad joke thing was me and Brian.
Yeah.
Like
Just
on any given
ripping the fuck
comment,
out of each other.
we just pun each other back and forth.
Like, we would have like a fucking 10-page long thread where we just keep it going and fucking just pun the fuck out of each other.
And like Helen would read it and like, why doesn't this guy come over? Why isn't he your best friend?
So let me ask you this. I'll pose this question to you. Is it not wonderful, whether it be 10 views, 100 views, 1,000 views, whatever? When you get the one comment that says that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love watching you guys and the banter you have. Or I love that Brian always matches his hat to his shirt.
Right.
It's just the fact that you get engagement.
Right.
Just
You
last
know?
week,
That makes you go, all right, fuck it, I'll do it again.
literally just last week, the fucking local ag teacher was like, she's like, oh yeah, you guys sound great on the thing. And I was like, you listen?
That's awesome, right?
I'm like, you get that like
Yeah.
little piece of, you're like, I'm a celebrity.
Yeah. That's good.
At Comic-Con. This last Comic-Con, did you catch the guy dressed as Jimi Hendrix?
I
Did
don't know
a
if I
really,
did.
really good job. Me and Murph approached him about maybe doing part of the Bohemian Rhapsody video.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, no, I don't know that song. I can't help you out. He's like, wait a second. He saw a shirt. He's like, Amos Adventure, I know you guys. I'm like, what?
Right?
Like, that's awesome.
Can you speak into my good ear,
And
please?
he actually wanted to take a picture with us to show his buddy, because his buddy's like us,
that's
really
good.
into local
Right.
podcasts and everything. And I was like, hell yeah, take your
Well,
picture with
there
us.
you go.
Here's our
It'd be
card.
like- it'd be
Tell
like
your
you
friends.
walk-
Don't believe me. Keep doing it for all those people.
Right.
It'd be
You
like
guys
you-
got something.
Like if you walked into some stranger's house because your car broke down out in front of their house and you need to use their phone because your cell phone don't work,
Yeah.
and walking in and Skillset magazine is on their coffee table.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that feeling. Like you'd be like, random
And
guy
dude,
has my fucking
Every,
product.
every time I
Well, I'm
pass
waiting for that to happen.
every time I pass a
Yeah,
magazine
listen.
rack, every time I pass a magazine rack, I look to see if they carry you, because I want to skill set the shit out of that thing.
Yeah, I never realized that. I don't want to make this all about me or something, but just thinking about like what it meant to me, even when you guys had asked me here, or like in the Comic-Con world when we'd stop by and see each other just to check in.
Right.
And you look forward to those meetings, twice
Yeah.
a year or 6 months. Hey, are you guys going? Or we bump into each other out at the racetrack or something. Just wherever you're going to be, that I'm going to be. I wish all of social media like meetups worked out that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Not the like dead in a trunk somewhere other way.
Yeah.
Right.
That's another show.
That's
I
my
think
wife's
the
show.
point like I'm making it about that whole thing that is just I love the fact that you can take something just as an idea and you're something to somebody somewhere.
Yeah.
You're who would have thought? It's just kind of cool, man.
Yeah.
I dig that.
I mean, I don't want to get all crazy, but
Too late.
whether it be the podcast, on Facebook, in real life, I make it a goal to make at least one person laugh a day. Because for that split second, they forget about bills. They forget about that person they know that's in the hospital or
true.
whatever. They forget about everything bad, and they just laugh. And if I can make the world better a split second for one person, I'm all for it.
He's a philanthropist over here.
Yeah.
Smart guy.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize we were gonna get this deep. on
I'm
this
sorry.
show.
I
Okay.
pretty much just focus on making me happy every day.
Hey, if I'm that one
know
person
that
a day,
already.
I'll take it.
And if y'all want to come along for the ride, I'm cool with
That's why he
it.
takes his daily showers. Right? He's gonna make himself happy every day.
Daily, like 8 times a day. Are you kidding?
Well, he is retired.
This is not in my truck. Just don't in my truck.
Not
It's
again.
happened, I'm sure.
Those smells weren't
That's
me either.
why do you
That
think he
makes-
drives?
that
Why do
makes-
you think he drives on the fucked up bumpy roads?
I
Because
was
it's
gonna say that
helping him
makes
out
like
along the way.
0 sense to anybody who has no clue. What I mean.
Yeah. Stop jerking off of my truck.
John, Daddy takes my truck on cross country trips to pick up.
So we're
equipment
gonna
for
say,
me.
Danny takes my truck to jerk off.
He might do that too,
I really thought
but
that's where that sentence was going.
Oh
Danny
my
takes
God.
my truck to jerk off. I really
Cross
thought we were
country
going there.
trips to pick up equipment for me in my real job. So
My real job.
My real job. I love that. We all have our real jobs.
yeah,
I don't.
I slang
Okay,
alternators.
well, not all of us.
actually,
I
I'm
stand corrected.
I'm closest thing to you have to a boss now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Other than
Oh,
Misty, like
snap.
I'm not. I don't.
Yeah, I'm about to say, be careful, you might get stabbed.
I was just saying, I'm not gonna stab you. I'm not gonna threaten to stab you.
And I'm not saying I deserve anything more than anybody else, but anybody that works at Subway or Starbucks or anything that like expects a tip, work auto parts retail. Work auto parts retail and then tell me if you deserve that tip.
Because they come in with no clue what's going on.
Yeah, you don't have to figure out if that latte is going to work for them or not.
Right.
I tell you, man, every time I'm getting ready to go to Napa, I make sure I get online, I do my research, brush up on all my Star Wars knowledge, because I know I'm going to be like 5 hours there.
Ryan's going to grill you. Yeah.
Asking me all these questions before we ever even get to my part. So I got to research everything but what I'm there for.
I found a way to circumvent. Like I make my guys happy where I go. Like everyone, like I have my own login at O'Reilly's because I'm there that much. Yeah.
You just hurt my heart a
the
little
manager
bit.
there. Shout out to Rudy. What's up? No, it's great. No,
I disown you.
This is the best
You gotta
favor I
get
can
in
do
zone
to
now.
all my auto
Get
parts.
in
I have to
zone.
go to Napa because they're the only ones that have
He's
a
like, I
Volvo
have to
cap
go
that I
to
need.
Napa. The way you said that.
Yeah,
I
for
have
one
to go
thing,
to Napa.
because...
I have to go to Napa. They're the only ones that has a part. See, this is how I keep everybody in business. I bought a Jeep Cherokee.
Yeah,
So you gotta
there you
go
go.
everywhere.
So I get to know everybody.
I told somebody
You know,
today, the
pass my
customer, I'm
business
like,
around.
a Jeep is like a boat or a Harley. It's You can always find ways to throw money at it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Mine's always just
You know.
fixing the broken shit. It's
Yeah.
never really adding anything extra.
You think you're going to start with all these wonderful upgrades, and then you just
Yeah.
realize,
Keep it
oh,
running.
shit.
I gotta keep it going.
You need to make it functional.
Yep.
That's true. Yeah, that's a whole nother
And with a Jeep, everybody's level of what functional is very different.
Yeah, ask Tommy.
Yeah. Tommy's favorite hobby with his is taking it apart and
Yeah.
then never putting
Tommy.
it back together.
Words.
Oh, he's got a Jeep. I've never seen it. Wow.
It's been on the
I
road
always
for
just
a
see
little
him.
bit.
For about
Him and I
like
work. My compost site is out by his farm, and I always see him out there. But I
He,
always see
he
him
made
at
a,
work
he made a
site.
couple of little upgrades to it and decided that like his axles couldn't keep up with those little upgrades. So yeah, it's got like tank axles under it now.
It's probably the most valuable Jeep ever. It just doesn't run right now.
Yeah,
There's a lot
I think
of
it's
those out there.
I think it's still on jack stands on the farm.
Right.
But he just bought a Colorado, so he's good.
Yeah, but it's going to be a very different Colorado in the very near future, I'm sure.
I'm sure. He should have waited and
He
got
bought
the
a Colorado.
yeah. The,
Oh, they're kind of
the little
badass. Have you
diesel.
seen
Yeah,
them?
the new Colorados
Oh,
are
the
awesome.
Oh, the new
Diesels.
diesel ones. I
Yeah.
haven't
Yeah.
seen those.
2.4, 2.8 or
Yes.
something.
They're kind of
Yeah.
fucking cool.
Yeah.
They look pretty hot as shit, too.
But he's been a Ford guy for the last 4 or 5 years. I think he should have waited for the Ranger Raptor.
if it even comes to this country.
It would have been worth waiting.
Oh, they'll be in some here.
Maybe, but...
Even if it's a
been-
one-off.
Yeah, they make
They'll
building
sneak them
one.
up from Mexico.
Yeah.
The Lobo
Coyote,
Raptor.
Lobo.
Lobo Raptor.
Dude, it was funny because we had a Lobo at work for a while, and it was a legit Lobo.
Oh,
So,
right.
like, all the gauges were in fucking kilometers and stuff. It was funny.
Metric system. Whole world, catch up.
Right?
Come on.
Every time I drove it, I'd take pictures of me doing like 120 in it, and it was great.
Nice.
So, I think that's probably
Yeah,
good
sounds
enough
about,
for the day.
Sounds about to call it.
So, anything else? Any shout-outs
Last
or
minute throw-ins?
thing you want to...
Yeah, you gotta go home, or you just gotta go to work, or the podcast is over.
All that, yeah.
A little bit of
All those
everything.
things.
Yes.
Any shout-outs or future
Thanks for
projects or
having me,
anything?
guys. What's
Yeah,
up?
Cool.
We gotta have you guys up sometime.
Thanks for coming.
Check
You
yeah.
out
never answered
Skillset.
the question, is food important to you?
Yes. Is dinner important?
Is dinner
probably
important?
grab a little something on the way home.
I love the way you brought that
Okay.
back.
Yeah.
See, I gotta learn that
Amazing.
skill right there.
And it's
To wrap
all
that
about
conversation.
It's all about
It's all
getting
about
the last
segues
jab
and-
in Adam right before it ends. You gotta get one.
Pretty much. That's why
Oh,
you
yeah.
put me on the end.
Hey, Brian, if you had the app, you could probably order from McDonald's as we're sitting here. But you
What's
know,
an app? Is the next
Exactly.
question.
It's not Buffalo
They
Wings.
give me shit because like I'm not big on the whole app thing.
Yeah, but you're on a podcast. It's as technologically advanced as it gets.
Yeah.
Right? You're ahead of the curve at this point.
I guess. I'm the anchor that's fucking dragging this deal down. Basically,
He just killed,
technologically I'm an anchor.
he killed somebody with a trident.
That you did. You should probably get out of
like,
town.
like the fact that I don't have a fucking horse and buggy outside is fucking shocking.
Well, thanks for listening,
Yeah,
and
thanks. Yeah, we thank all three of you.
catch you all next time.
Yep.
Hope you enjoy.
We out.
Peace out, bitches.